sunny South Florida is going to be the site of our championship night here for the KBueno Racing Truck Series Season 1 action live on the KBueno Racing Network. We are super excited to bring you this championship night special. Alongside me is going to be Nate Polite for the entirety of this evening, and for this pre-race show, we are joined by none other than Kenneth Bueno. I am Francisco Bacallao, and welcome to the Homestead-Miami Speedway, one of the better racetracks, if you ask me, on this service, and we are couldn't be happier to provide this championship night here. And gentlemen, it has been a short and quick season to get up into this point, and we've seen a lot of great racing between Daytona and last week over at the Phoenix International Raceway. But Nate, I'll go to you first. What has been probably one of the best things that you've seen so far this season to get us to this point in this championship fight?
I think my favorite moment from this season is beyond a shadow of a doubt the finish to the regular season. The regular season finale at Outlet Club Speedway. The race was great, the entire thing, but really those last two laps with Justin Rott, Michael Walls, and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer battling for that race win in the final race of the season. It came down to contact in turn four. And as fate would have it, those are the three frontrunners coming into Miami for the championship.
And of course, it really set us up here for some really fantastic racing down the stretch here at the in these playoffs. And Kenneth, you were in some of these races as well. You were racing in this series for the most part full time. So kind of give us what the driving aspect has been for you throughout this season, since you're normally accustomed to being up here in the booth.
Well, it's been a lot of fun. It's been interesting getting used to all the different types of tracks we've had in the playoffs and just seeing how the driver base has reacted to all the adversities that any track could give them. Iowa was a really tough challenge for many. Myself, it was a lot of fun, but for several other drivers, it's been all about trying to get to this moment right here. 18 points separating the top four. I mean, we can't ask for more than that for a first ever series in the KBRN Trucks history. So to have all of that culminate into a championship finale that's going to be full of competition and have several of the top drivers at the front, I think it's going to be a lot of fun sharing the track with them, number one, and just trying to stay out of their way, number two.
It's been fun for from your seat, I bet, Kenneth, with these trucks. It's been something that we've talked about for so long, and to finally have it here and to get through this first season, really wrapping up here tonight, is going to be bittersweet. And on the screen, we'll see here our schedule that has gotten us up into this point, a fantastic one that started all the way back in August and ends right there at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. But you guys, there's nothing new left to see in this graphic. So that brings us to the ever so important announcement that we are officially going to have a season 2 starting next year, and we do have that official schedule out. And there it is. For the first time, everyone gets to see their eyes on this schedule, and this is the part where we bring to you, Kenneth, this schedule. We deliberated over what to do exactly with the schedule, races, when to put them on. Just talk us through what it was like in that process to the viewers and how we ended up selecting this selection of racetracks.
Yeah, it's a group effort, and for a lot of the people that are watching maybe this series for the first time, it's not only a series that's based on the KBueno Racing Network, which is under my name, but it's you, Francisco, it's Charlie Byer, it's Keelan Belsha, it's Nate, it's every single person that has come together to put this series together. And we talked a lot about what season 2 would have in store, whether we'd be even going at it for a second season, but understanding just how much the driver base have had fun with this series, how positive they've received this series in general. It seems like they wanted a second season. We wanted a second season, and so that's why we're giving them to it. They're giving it to them here for season number 2. A lot of different tracks. We wanted to experiment with going to different venues. You'll see one big glaring track in there, Mexico City. We went north of the border in Canada for season 1 because I really wanted Montreal on the schedule. Now we're going to go south of the border and head to Mexico City, which is going to be fun. A new track in the NASCAR calendar for this year, so it's going to be fun to see how the trucks handle there. We're experimenting with IRP. That'll be a first-time appearance for that track in this schedule, making its way into the chase of all things, so should add a bit of interesting storylines as a short track replacing what basically was the Iowa of this season's chase for the Cup. So yeah, a lot of conversations about how we would format this tracks and what tracks we would go to. We've seen good stuff from a lot of the tracks that we went to this season, so you'll see a lot of those returning this year. But yeah, just really excited to not only get season 2 underway, but to have the drivers take on all of these tracks over the course of the year.
Yeah, I'm excited as well to get into Daytona in January, right there along with the Rolex 24 on iRacing. So it's really just going to be a fun Daytona week to kick off the second season of these trucks. You see the collection there of those racetracks you mentioned there as well. We'll be returning here to the Homestead-Miami Speedway to crown another champion come May 18th, just before Memorial Day weekend. I'll turn to you now, Nate, on your thoughts on this schedule. You had seen a glimpse of it before, but this is the first time you really get to see it in proper. Just give us your initial thoughts on it.
Yeah, first time getting to see it in all its glory. Mexico City, I mean, that's of course taking the cake on this calendar. But something that I noticed here, we're going back to Phoenix for the penultimate race of the season. But it's not the old Phoenix that we went to 2 weeks ago. It's just plain old Phoenix. So I think that's definitely an interesting wrinkle. Even though it's the same track, it's a different, layout of the racetrack.
It's going to be fun to watch, and you have that old Atlanta Motor Speedway there to start the chase, and we also have the Indianapolis Raceway Park right there in the middle of the playoffs. So much fun. The dirt race gets to come back this time at Eldora. We'll have the brand new Kentucky Speedway there to throw in a wrench as well. So many favorites on this schedule that I can go over just on and on and on, but nonetheless, we will see this schedule eventually when we get over to season number 2. And guys, we do have to crown a champion here tonight, and this points battle could be one for the ages. Looking at these points right here, it is tight between the top two, specifically those other two further down. They do have a mathematical chance pending the amount of trucks we have entered in the race here tonight, but a lot of things need to go their way before they can mount a kind of championship fight. But those 5 points, Kenneth, it's going to be crucial.
It's going to be extremely crucial. Remember, we mentioned 3 points for winning a race, 1 point for fastest lap, most laps led, a 0x. Even capturing the pole here at Homestead can make that finite difference between being up ahead a little bit in the championship versus straying behind a little bit. Michael Walls is going to have a challenge on his hands, but it's one that he's really embraced with open arms this season, guys. We've seen in so many races, he's been strong as a driver. He's been able to reach victory lane. So it's a question of how much pressure will be on Justin Rott or Michael Walls to be in that place to be able to defend or attack for a championship. And then you look at those bottom two, Jurgensmeyer and Schumacher, they have stuff to gain as well. They are still within mathematical distance, so they can pull out a heavy punch. Understanding if we have at least 18 or more trucks in this race, guys, it will be based on who finishes the best, which drivers have the extra points given to them, and obviously where they finish relative to each other. So 18 points. It's great to see that in a first ever season of the KBRN Truck Series, we have a points battle this close, because realistically, any one of these 4 have a shot.
And that's really what the idea was with this chase format. Is we've seen very commonly the elimination format being used, and yes, it creates that late excitement there, but there's still something about these point battles at the end of the season where it makes more than one race matter in the final run for that championship. And this feels like a happy medium for both, this little 5 race sprint, and that'll be coming back next season as well. And Nate, we've seen a fantastic regular season, so many different winners, a fantastic battle for the regular season championship that consisted of the same top 3 that we see right there. So what has it been like walking through these playoffs, and what has it been like watching these drivers put themselves in this position to go for this championship?
Yeah, it's really felt like the whole way along it's been Justin Rott and Micah Walls, just a step above everybody else most of the regular season, and certainly in the playoffs, both of these drivers have turned it on. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, Alexander Schumacher, they've both been lurking around in the back. They need a lot to go right today, but looking at this battle between the top two, there's 5 points separating these two. And if we go to how points are awarded, bonus points alone, you get 3 for a win, 1 for leading the most laps, 1 for leading a lap, 1 for getting a 0x, 1 for getting the pole. Anybody can lead a lap, anybody can get a 0x. Only one driver can win the race, lead the most laps, and get a pole. If you do all of those, that's 5 points right there. If Micah Walls can check all 3 of those boxes, he's going to be the champion because he's going to finish ahead of Justin Rod as well. And Michael Walls at Homestead-Miami Speedway in the trucks is an absolute monster. In 5 league races there, he's finished first, sixth, 25th, third, and first. So that's 4 finishes in the top 6 in 5 races and 2 wins to boot, 3 times on the podium. He is borderline unstoppable at this track in this car.
He's going to be the one to watch. So far fastest in practice. Your top 3, as a matter of fact, are in the same top 3 for the championship. So it's going to be one to watch all the way through here tonight, if that's any sort of indication for what's in store for us this evening. And for our viewers here, Nate was actually able to catch up with our top 3 in the championship and was able to talk to them about what their thoughts were going into this playoffs. Here is a little preview of what Nate was able to talk about with these championship drivers.
We are joined by the three championship contenders coming into this Homestead-Miami race. Justin Rott is in first by 5 points. In second is Micah Walls. Then Jonathan Jurgensmeyer is -13. Justin, this first question is for you. You finished in the top 5 in every playoff race so far. What's the key to that consistency?
Just keeping the truck clean as good as I can, I guess. Really trying to maximize all my finishes, and I think I've done a good job of that so far in the playoffs. And controlling what I can control, and I think I generally do a good job of that, especially in the trucks where I'm stronger. So, yeah, keeps me out front in the points lead, and when other people have mistakes, I can just take advantage of it.
Micah, how confident are you coming into Miami being down 5 points?
Miami to me is one of my better tracks in iRacing, so I'm pretty confident. I know the strategy of what I need to do, so shouldn't be too hard.
And then, Jurg, you come into this race 13 points out. That's, of course, some long odds, especially with the field sizes we've been getting. What can you do yourself to try to shorten those up as best you can?
Well, I mean, first of all, obviously I have to beat Mike and Justin, but winning the race would help. There's a lot more bonus points for that, but just control what I can control. If they finish second and third, they finish second and third. So, I mean, just doing what I can and just hope to get some fortune.
And Justin and Micah, you both have had a couple of close calls so far in the playoffs in your wins. Matter of fact, Justin cutting it close on field at Iowa. Micah, you of course wrecked early last week at Phoenix. So how are you guys able to overcome those and stay in these championship fights?
I guess just keeping my head in the game at Iowa specifically, just finding a different way. I was in the back the whole first half of the race, so when the caution came out and I got my laps back and everything, just I wasn't gonna just go drive up there, take the lead, pass Micah and win. So I had to think outside the box, do something different, and that's put me in victory lane, kept me in contention.
I mean, yeah, just exactly what he said. I mean, you just gotta stay in it, especially after getting wrecked so early at Phoenix. Just put my head down and go forward and see what happens. So.
And Jurg, your race pace has been consistent all season and fast, but you've struggled a little bit in qualifying. Probably is going to need to find a fix to that for Miami. What can you do to get that right?
I mean, I'm not really sure exactly. Miami is one of my worst tracks in the truck. I have no idea why, but I'll have to figure that out, I guess. But yeah, I've been consistent, but I mean, I've been consistently slower than Justin and Micah, so that's also something that I'm gonna have to figure out. I've done a good job, I think, to just put myself in this position to even have a chance. But yeah.
And then about a month ago now, all three of you were involved in the most exciting finish of the season that determined the regular season championship. So it's deja vu all over again, coming into Miami for the finale. That Auto Club finish, what was the perspective of it coming from each of you three?
I know my perspective, and it was that I wanted to win the race, and I didn't care about how anyone felt. And yeah, usually I'm not in that mindset where I'm going to be as aggressive as possible, but I don't know what struck me on that night, but I went for it, and it wasn't my best decision, but yeah, you move on.
Yeah, I guess it was certainly a night to remember. Yeah, I don't know. It was just go off in the corner and hope for the best. I don't know. I was on the outside, so I didn't really think I had a chance at it. So I don't know. It was whatever.
Yeah, I knew coming to the white flag, Micah moved. Kind of got under jerked me a crossover. It kind of gave me an opportunity to go 3 wide and take the lead. So, then down the backstretch, I got clear and honestly felt I was pretty safe with 2 of my friends and teammates behind me. But I should have known a little better, and I should have just controlled the truck better. I kind of just overcorrected in the outside wall. So, if I didn't do that, I maybe would have won, finished, second, not last, or ever won the regular season. But all in all, it didn't really amount to anything. There wasn't any playoff points, so we got a full reset for the chase, anyways.
And Justin, you just kind of hit on what my next question was about. No teams in this series, of course, but oftentimes you guys are all teammates running under the Goat Inc. banner. Friends, you're often in the same VC for the races. What is that like in the heat of a title fight?
I mean, we still try to help each other out when we can, but you don't want to give away, too many secrets. We all still want to go out there and win and beat all the other people on track. So, we do what we can for the first 80% of the race, and then when it gets to the end, you just gotta go for it yourself, and whatever that takes is, you don't really have teammates in any race, whether you're in a title fight at the very end of the race. So you just got to go for it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, even though we're in the calls for every single race that we do, I mean, we're always trying to get a little bit of a strategy, try to get ahead of each other. So
Yeah, I race. Me personally, I kind of race these guys a little harder at times than everyone else, but I enjoy working with them. I've definitely there's definitely been a lot of races where I don't really know what's going on and I don't know what I'm doing, and Micah or Justin just tells me something, and yeah, I don't think there's gonna be much of that at Homestead. I'll sort of have to figure it out on myself, or kind of ask other people questions, but yeah.
And then rapid fire will go Jurg, then Micah, then Justin. What's your final look before going into Miami?
I just need to hope that I get lucky. That's about it.
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try to put in quite a bit of practice this next week or so to try to get a little bit of an upper hand and try to figure out the strategy. So
Yeah, I mean, I gotta at least match what Micah does, and having that advantage really helps. So just gotta hope he doesn't win the pole, get a point there, get a 0x, get a point there, all that. So gotta do what I can to negate what he gains on me, if any. So really gotta outrun him or at least match him for most of that race.
Thank you guys for joining us so much. We appreciate it. Stay tuned to the KBRN Truck Series pre-race show on the KBueno Racing Network.
And of course, that was a great interview there by our Nate Polite. And a quick look here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, gentlemen. And it is a track that Kenneth and I are very familiar with. Opened all the way back in 1995 due to Hurricane Andrew relief aid that went to the city to try and rebuild after the damages caused to the racetrack. And this racetrack has gone through different styles of formats. It first started out as a mini Indianapolis. It then went into its oval configuration that it has now, but then the banking was added back in 2003. You see 18 to 20 degrees on both ends of this racetrack. That progressive banking has really significantly improved the racing that we've seen here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. We've seen some fantastic finishes throughout the years, and we still continue to do so, namely most recently that Tyler Reddick pass on the outside of Ryan Blaney to win that race all the way back in 2024. And it returns as the championship race in 2026. So really exciting stuff there from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Loaded little view there. And we'll also bring to you a onboard lap.
We are joined by the
to
three
provide here. So we'll get that video sorted here. And unfortunately, we do have to let go of our good friend Kenneth Bueno. He will be going into qualifying. So we wish Kenneth the best of luck going into qualifying. And we'll get here the view of the onboard lap, Nate, and there it is. We'll get a view of each lane. We'll first go with the bottom side of the racetrack and then to the outside. Talk us through these laps.
Every lane on this track, you might be stuck doing 6 or 7 laps, but here you go, painting the white line down on the bottom. Kind of known as the Harvick line. Kevin Harvick popularized that. Go on the bottom of the racetrack, shortest way around, and the progressive banking helps you do it because you still have a decent amount of banking there on the bottom of the racetrack. Go right back down to the bottom here. You probably see this going to the start of the runs, I would imagine, as drivers are trying to hunt for position, but as the tires wear, they're going to get up to the top half of the racetrack, which is really what Homestead-Miami Speedway is known for. This one, known as the Larson line, popularized mostly by Kyle Larson, who gets, if you think this is close to the wall, Kyle Larson gets even closer somehow, some way. I mean, you're painting the wall on this lap, Fran, but you could definitely get higher on the racetrack, and we're going to see just how willing drivers are to go up there at different points in this race to try to get that extra couple of tenths that might be sitting up there by the fence, because that could be the difference when you come down to it. It's 20 degrees of banking up at the top of the racetrack, 18 down by the white line at the bottom of it, and that can be the difference between who ends up winning this race.
And that could be the ultimate difference if they do decide to go up there. And on that onboard lap, Nate, you were able to make out the damage on the outside wall, the scrapes of cars trying to run that outside lane, and that's something we'll see these drivers trying their best to do, and they'll end up with that stripe on their cars, trying to make sure that they had to get done And you don't want to do it too early. If you're one of these championship drivers, you could get damage on your truck and really hamper your race from there on out. So we could see maybe someone that's maybe not exactly in championship contention quite go all the way out with that strategy, at least in the early stages of the race. But if push comes to shove, they might just have to do it. Well, Nate, we're almost here getting ready for the grid here in a couple of moments of time. So just kind of talk us through what are going to be keys for these drivers to work their way through this championship fight, because this is going to be the longest race of the season. 134 laps will be in store for us tonight with 5 additional tire sets. The fuel window is somewhere in the range of about 40 laps. What do you think is going to be the key to win?
The key to win is going to be the patience aspect. When we talked about just how dangerous it can be to run the wall, even though that is the fastest way around the racetrack, those marks that you see up on the wall, that's from drivers knocking it down. And hit it once, you're probably fine. Hit it twice, you're probably fine. But if you're running the fence and you're knocking it down every single lap, you're going to get some damage on the truck. And the last thing that you want is suspension damage, because that's going to kill your race. As for these championship contenders, we talked about it in the interview with Justin, Micah, and Jurg. Justin, he feels like he's behind coming into this race, despite that he's ahead 5 points. Because, like I mentioned, if Michael Walls collects those exclusive bonus points for winning the race, leading the most laps, and sitting on the pole, he's the champion. He controls his own destiny, despite being 5 points out. Justin, of course, also controls his own destiny. Just finish ahead of everybody else, and then there's nothing that they can do to pass you. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer and Alexander Schumacher, they need some help. Jurg said in his interview that we just went through there, he can do everything that he needs to do on the front end, but he does not control his own destiny. He would need a lot of help, even if he were to win and collect all those bonus points. Same thing for Alexander Schumacher, whose gap to Jurg is the same as Micah's gap to Justin Rott.
And essentially, with the truck field that it appears as though we currently have, which is sitting at around 19 or so, Nate, that would mean Alexander Schumacher would require a race win coupled with a last place or so finish by the 76 of Justin Rott to even stand a chance going up against Michael Walls and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. So that's really the kind of long shot effort the 68 is hoping for to try and win this championship based on the field size here tonight. Jurg doesn't need quite as big of enough help as Shuey. It's just those couple of points, but it could make a big difference if something were to happen late in the race. The big eyes are going to be laid, rightfully so, on the 76 and that 7 truck. Just those measly 5 points could be a huge difference, and we're already starting off with a big, crucial one here that we're going to get ready to bring to the grid, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about here, as qualifying is just wrapping up here from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Just a couple of seconds left before we skip on over to our race session. And the big one here, Nate, you're going to see it when I bring it up here. It is going to be the number 8 of Mikey Neal that will steal the pole position by a mere couple of hundredths over Justin Rott, the main championship contender. The championship leader is going to be sitting on the front row outside, will not collect that crucial point there, and he'll be alongside that 8 truck to start off tonight's race. Third place will go to Nicholas Bauman, looking to try and salvage whatever points finish he can here late in the season. Rolls off third, with Miami's own Kenneth Bueno rolling off in the 4th position. Fifth place will go to the number 99 of Juan Escamilla, alongside Steven Maggio, who was in a deep of trouble at the end of that Phoenix race. Was really hoping to capture that win. The frustrations got the best of him there late, but he's hoping to finish off the season strong in that number 51 truck. There's the number 7 truck of Michael Walls, your second place runner in this championship, starting deep in the field. He's got some work to do with Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, who needs to go up there and possibly dominate and win this race for his best chance to go out a champion in Season 1. Trevor Haley, the winner at Daytona, the other Florida event, is looking to go for the Florida sweep from 9th, with Keelan Belsha qualifying inside the top 10, Nate.
Outside the top 10 is Alexander Schumacher, the last of these championship contenders. He lines up alongside Christopher Bishop. Then Tyler Murray and Nashville winner Austin Reedy back in the saddle in row 7. Charlie Beyer lines up alongside Kyle Benson in row 8. Chris Fowler and Craig Parks in row 9. And then rounding out the field, Chris Progar in 19th.
And there's our grid as they sit there in the Florida sunset, getting ready to slowly but surely head out onto the racetrack and begin our final set of pre-race pace laps before we decide a champion for season number 1. And Nate, it feels like it came and went so quickly. I was the lone guy in the booth at Daytona. You started to join me in these shows at around Nashville, But ever since then, it feels like it's just been a blur. It feels like just yesterday we were calling those races, talking about how many different winners, and now it's just been championship talk over the last couple of weeks. And by the time the night is over in the next 2 hours, we'll know who the champion is for the inaugural season.
Yeah, we'll know exactly who it is. And crucially, we spent all that time talking about how Micah Walls controlled his own destiny coming into the night. He doesn't anymore. He did not get that point for the pole. That means that even if he collects all the points that he can get from the win, most laps led, he would be tied with Justin Rott if Rott were to finish in second place. And that tiebreaker, first is going to go to wins. They would be tied on wins. They would then roll over to top fives. Rott comes into this race with 10. Micah Walls only has 8. So Walls is hoping that the tiebreaker does not get to that point because he's not going to beat him. He has to beat Justin Rott outright on the points.
The tiebreaker will go to Justin Rott, even if Walls does win. That is correct. So Michael Walls has to hope that he does get out in front of that 76 truck by even one measly point, which could be the big difference by the time the checkered flag is waving after 134 scheduled laps here from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. And I don't say this lightly because it is my home track 40 minutes away, but the Homestead-Miami Speedway, it is the ultimate definition of championship vibes. We always show up to South Florida with the expectations of knowing that the big trophy is going to get crowned. It always gave off that energy. I remember going back to Homestead-Miami Speedway as a kid growing up. Really in my teen years is when I got to go more frequently, seeing some of these last races, like Tony Stewart, like Dale Earnhardt Jr., which Nicholas Bauman is tributing there, David Reagan, his last full-time ride, and Jimmy Johnson's last race with Lowe's as well. So many memories here from the Homestead-Miami Speedway, including Kyle Busch's championship night. And I think even here in the sim, when we do go championship racing from this venue, it just seems to deliver a lot more than it does by just being another race.
Absolutely. This is a track that was built for the spotlight. I mean, it's Miami, baby. Come on now. This is a city built for the spotlight, no less than the racetrack. It's a phenomenal track. It puts on a great show every time we come here. Thrilled that it's the championship for this series. Thrilled that it's going to be the championship for the Cup Series once again in the real world next season. It's a beautiful racetrack, beautiful venue, beautiful city. The sun is shining.
The
Time to
sun,
go racing.
the sun is shining, unlike what it is been this whole week so far, Nate. It has been cloudy down here, but luckily in the sim we can control that weather. And this racetrack, a beauty as it is, as they go through the banking of 3 and 4 for the last calm time in this race, those nerves that these drivers are feeling are going to get put aside. They have to focus on the task at hand. The LSU machine of Michael Walls looking to close in on the 76th machine of Justin Rott for this championship fight that is going to get settled right here, right now. Mikey Neal, Justin Rott are the front row for the final race of the season, and we're going to be championship racing from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. And already wasting no time, Michael Walls going 3 wide on this initial start, and that's the aggression that these drivers are going to show here tonight, specifically those two. They know they have to get those points. These restarts could be the key to gaining the track position.
The urgency, and now you're going to see it out of Justin Rott. He looked to the inside of Mikey Neal. Neal threw the block going into turn number 3, and everyone's using that bottom line right now, but Steven Maggio got up to the top of the racetrack.
Up to the top of the racetrack, but it looks like he had a big enough run that now he looks to the inside of Kenneth Bueno for the 4th spot as Justin Rott makes contact with Mikey Neal, spins Mikey Neal in front of Kenneth Bueno, and so far no caution as the field stacks up. Now the yellow flag comes out, and that's going to be a big early championship implication. He's got some right front damage to his truck, and that will be his 0x gone, Nate.
Yeah, that's a point off the board, so, crucial now, Michael Walls needs to hang on to his 0x point. That's the urgency that you saw out of Walls on that first lap, diving 3 wide into turn 1 off the start of the race. Coming to turn 1, lap 2. Justin goes for the same move he went for on turn 3, lap 1. Has his nose down inside. And I'm not sure that Mikey Neal knew he was there.
And fantastic save by everybody, for that matter, Nate, because you saw some more contact there with Steven Maggio and Nicholas Bauman, which sent the 88 sideways, but nobody really went around, if you will, in this incident. We'll get a second look at it here, and we saw cars spinning. There was contact, but nobody properly spun, so kudos to the parties involved as there's a second look at it. I think Mikey Neal just kind of turns in possibly a little bit late. Kenneth gets into the outside wall, makes contact, but what avoidance by Juan Escamilla to not get into his teammate and Bauman. And for mostly everybody, generally, no big stories to come out of that except for the race leader currently in Justin Rott. So he definitely lost that incident-free race points that he would get from 0x. He is leading laps, which is going to help some, but that's something you lose for the rest of this race. Is Michael Walls currently sits with no incident points, and he's up to 4th. So that's really going to throw a hamper into Justin Rott's plans, now not having to count with those incident-free points.
Yeah, it's not the best start for Justin Rott, not what he wanted, but he does get the lap led, and he's now out in front of this race as well. And so as they run, Rott actually further ahead than he was coming into the race evening.
And that makes sense, Nate, because now he's obviously leading the race. He'll get those points, and with the track position and how they run, and Michael Walls down to 4th. But Michael Walls had a great start as well. He rolled off in 7th, and he was able to drive this way up into this top 10, or into this top 5 rather. And we'll show you the points right there. There's the gap between 1 and 2. Currently sits at 8 points between your top 2, and a lot of it has to do with the gap between those two. And like we saw, it was an easy determination to know that Justin Rott did lose those incident-free points bonus that Michael Walls will still contain on his side for the time being. And we'll update those points all night long because it could get even tighter as this race goes on. That 7 truck has been deemed as one of the favorites for tonight. And in its early days, while the sun is still out, a lot can change by the time this race gets to its end, because that's the other thing, Nate. This track is going to go through its fair share of changes as the night progresses, because we will finish under darkness.
And as that darkness consumes the racetrack, it's going to get colder. The sun's shining on the track, it's baking that asphalt, it's getting nice and hot, it's going to be a little slicker. It gets colder, the grip's going to go up just a little bit more. And if that track temp drops as it gets dark, you see in turn 1 and 2 already completely in shade. So the track temp there likely won't drop a whole lot, but 3 and 4 certainly will. And this exit at turn number 2 as well. So that's going to impact how these drivers, they want to set their, what they choose to go and put tires on. Maybe 2 tires, maybe 3 tires. 3 tires, 4 tires, oopsies. Are they going to go all the way on the tire sets? Perhaps air pressure. There's so many options that you can do when you come down pit road, and that's going to change every single pit stop.
Well, these drivers are limited a lot in what they can do with pit stops because it is fixed setups. So the only thing that they can do is just bolt on a new set and hope it's enough and change your driving style. Otherwise, everybody has the exact same thing under the hood in the chassis to work with for these 134 laps. So after that lap 2 caution, the pace truck will exit onto the safety of pit road, and it'll be Justin Rott leading us to the green flag with Steven Maggio to his outside, and there's a good launch for the 76 truck. He'll lead us back to turn number 1, as looks like Michael Walls will try to battle away for 3rd with Juan Escamilla.
Yeah, Walls and Escamilla, they got familiar with each other. Actually, an incident quite similar to the one that we just saw open last week's race when Michael Walls found himself in the wall early on. And ended up coming back to win that race, so it was no harm, no foul. But Michael Walls is moving with a head of steam down the backstretch, stealing the 2nd place spot from Steven Maggio like LSU stole Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss.
And there's the power move on the outside by Steven Maggio. That goes to show the kind of a run you could get from that 3rd lane. He actually gets the outside on Justin Rott here, and he'll run the top once again. And this outside in iRacing, at the very least, Nate, it is faster, but it does eat the tires more. So it's a balance between, do you want to go up there for speed, or do you want to go up there to make a pass? In this case, Steven Maggio not wasting his time to go up to the front. He'll take the race lead over. And there goes Michael Walls. This is a big pass if he's able to make this on Justin Rott for the track position. And you have to remember that 76 is going to carry a little bit of damage, but there's the 7 truck making a move.
He tried, and now he's going to try back to the inside. Rott's hoping that he doesn't get a repeat of what he did to earlier in this race to Mikey Neal. They're side by side as they work through turn 2, going down the backstretch, but Rott's going to have the top side a little more momentum as they roll through here.
Great run down the backstretch for Rott with that outside, but Walls, as long as he can continue to hold this bottom, it will slowly but surely go his way. And you see, trying to hold it there on the bottom, and you see he actually gets a great run there through 3 and 4. Despite being lower on the racetrack, as they're battling for 2nd. And an update for Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, he currently runs in the 8th spot, so he's a little bit further back as that double zero still has ground to make up. And nobody out of this race yet, so all 19 runners that started this race are still on the racetrack, on the lead lap. So everything is still in order for Shuey for his miracle chances. As this fight for second continues to wear on, this 7 truck with Michael Walls is not giving up on the inside.
Can't let him go because Walls wants to get to the lead and lead as many laps as he can. Plus, he needs to finish ahead of Justin Rott. So there's a lot of points potentially on the table here for Michael Walls that could turn the tide of this race. But he also needs to be careful to not make contact so he can maintain that extra 0x point.
Yeah, he wants to be careful as you see him trying to side draft that 76 to maintain the bottom. It's going to hurt Rott's tires more than it does Walls because Walls is in that slightly more favorable line. But at least early on in this race, Nate, just look at how dangerous turn 1 is going to be. Look at that sun glare going down this front stretch.
You can hardly see anything as you roll off there. It's almost like going into turn 3 at Darlington, which we talked about earlier this season. It's tough, and that's going to impact. I mean, that very well could have been at least part of the reason for what we saw in turn 1, the accident between Rott and Neal.
And it looks like Walls with the nose out in front going into turn 3. This is going to be a big pass. If he's able to complete it, Rott trying his best to hang in there. You see him almost making contact with the right rear of Walls. Again, just doing anything he can to maintain that position on the outside. And it's working so far because he powers back to the outside. And this is what it looks like as they run. Look at that, 4 points. The gap between 1 and 2. And they are still door to door.
That's with Rott in second, which he's been able to maintain just the nose out in front of this the entire time. But if Walls gets that pass, he's going to take another point out of the lead.
It would actually make it 2 because that would mean Rott also loses a spot at the same time in which Walls would gain 1. So it would be a 2-point gap if he's able to make that pass, which it looks like he's going to have to settle down for the time being as Rott, you see, immediately jumps to the bottom for the defense into turn 1 after that raging long battle since the restart. And that was the first kind of punch out. That was the first round of this matchup that we're going to see tonight. Walls will concede here, but back into turn 3 is not going to make it easy.
I've never known Michael Walls as someone to concede a spot. I mean, he's racing all 134 laps of this. There's no such thing as just riding around for Michael Walls. It's always go time. He's always on the button.
And you got to remember, these non-championship contenders will play a role in this race, especially Steven Maggio, who leads this race, who looked like he was going to be the one to win that race last time out at the Phoenix Raceway. He was one of the dominant drivers, and you had to argue was so much faster than most of this field. And if it wasn't for that timely caution when it came out that ended up benefiting Michael Walls, he probably would have walked away the race winner on that occasion, as this is the first instance of Rott going all the way up to that 4th lane, the very outside lane, to take position or maintain position in this case. He won't go to it this time, but we will see drivers eventually try to go to that 3rd lane to make up ground, much like Maggio did.
And Maggio, you mentioned it on last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, on our post-race show. He had some strong words for Trevor Haley, who had brought out that caution at the very end of the Phoenix race that led to Steven Maggio losing the spot, as we see Michael Walls dive the inside on Justin Rott, as he's done several times already in this race. Tries to run him up the racetrack a little bit, no contact, gets the side draft on the straightaway. I tell you what, though, he's doing a really good job of working that bottom lane, getting inside of someone in what is, generally speaking, the slower lane around this racetrack.
And there's the move. He was able to get low enough, and Rott entered a little bit higher, but there's the crossover for Rott now going to the inside with a little bit of forward momentum on the 7 truck. We'll see what Walls is able to do now on the outside. He might have wanted that line, and you'll see he'll go up to the 3rd lane and try and load up a run. You see how much he's able to maintain through the corner. Expect a huge run out of 7 here and power down this straightaway and clear for the 2nd spot. Escamilla and Haley just behind that duo, and that will move Michael Walls up into the 2nd spot. So 2 points now is going to be the gap between 1 and 2.
It looks like, actually, when we had them side by side, that was when Walls was out in front. So still a 4-point gap between the two front runners for this championship, but nonetheless, it is a dogfight, and they're still out in front of Michael Walls, 4 points ahead of him with that win and leading a lap. So still plenty to fight for if you're Michael Walls, and plenty to fight for if you're Justin Rott as he dives it back up the inside.
They know how important the track position is, but Michael Walls is going to go once again to the outside lane, and he should get another big run here off of turn number 2 to power back through a second. And the biggest thing for Walls is to get up there and at least lead a lap, Nate, because if he can lead a lap, that's one less point. The gap would be at 3, and that would be 3 guaranteed. But if he's able to keep the lead, it'll almost have us in a tie situation. So it's going to be really close up, but it won't matter unless he can get up there for this spot, as it looks like a little bit of a battle further back with Jonathan Jurgensmeyer and the 88 of Nicholas Baumann. Jurg running in that 8th spot. That's kind of where we've seen Jurg through most of these playoffs, just kind of running in that 7th or so position. It hasn't been the playoffs he's wanted to. He hasn't really stood out compared to his competition, but it does have him 3rd in this championship, ready to pounce if something happens between the top 2, as Michael Walls is to the inside of the race lead.
Michael Walls going for the lead, and I was impressed that Stephen Maggio wasn't able to get all the way checked out from that battle behind him. Walls almost leads that lap there, couldn't quite get it going down the straightaway. I was impressed, or I should say I was expecting Maggio to drive away as Walls and Rott battle with a little contact between the 2 leaders.
A little bit of contact that they're sliding it sideways, but this goes to show the pace Michael Walls has, because they're on 20 or so laps now on these tires, and he is still running pretty decent lap times to compete up with the race leader. So this 7 truck is going to be one to watch all night long. And you remember, he started a little bit further back, so he had to make up the track position in the process. So for Michael Walls, as he continues to run in 2nd, is going to be looking to move into the race lead, because he knows that that's going to give him the advantage over Justin Rott, most likely, or at the very least get him into a better opportunity than where he currently stands. Trevor Haley has moved up into 4th ever since, and there you see him sitting right there as Baumann continues to hold up this gaggle of cars back here. You see Alexander Schumacher in the 8th spot with Kyle Benson a little bit further back. It's been a disappointing playoffs, to say the least, for Kyle Benson. Looked like he could have been one of the better challengers, but it's just not lived up to his way ever since the failure to capture that Iowa win with that fuel strategy by Rott. But he's trying to end the season strongly here.
It's been a struggle, and he's had a few races where that was the case for him this season. He just felt as though he really should have, could have won that race and didn't do it. I remember Nashville was another one. He and Stephen Maggio thought that they were going to go and battle for that win, and he was winless this season. Was Kyle Benson, and looking to just grab that one win for maybe a little bit of pride at this point now. But really, just not the season and not the playoffs that he had hoped to have had.
Kenneth Bueno is 7 laps down on the racetrack. I believe he came down pit road possibly for some kind of damage repair of the FIU Chevrolet, which, as you know, Nate, FIU did classify for a bowl game, so a big time moment for the program and a timely enough time for Kenneth to represent them here at their local racetrack. It's a big pause up moment for him and the entirety of FIU. But up front, the battle continues. Justin Rott closing in on Michael Walls again.
And Maggio has now started to pull away a little bit from Michael Walls, and he is stacking up laps led as well in this race. He is, really been able to pull away and keep those trucks behind him when he's not pulling away. It certainly helps when they're side-by-side battling, but we've kind of settled into a bit of a rhythm here. We saw Alexander Schumacher start to fall off there in the back. He's lost a couple of positions, dropped a little deeper into a points hole. Jurgensmeyer has, crawled his way up to 6th place, and overall, everything's kind of starting to settle down here. As you have to think we're getting ready to approach that first pit stop as far as tires are concerned.
Soon enough, we'll be getting into that fuel window, which is about 40 laps, and even though the tires definitely fall off and you lose time, Nate, because of the amount of laps we run, it's going to be interesting to see when the field pits, because it's not a perfect 4-stint race. It's kind of somewhere in the range of 3.5, so you could see some kind of off strategy like the one Michael Walls ran at Phoenix to try and pit offset, use up the tires to gain track position, hope for a caution at the right time. But if there's anything we know for sure is everybody has to pit through times.
Yeah, and that strategy for Walls, it's easy to forget. It was set in motion by the fact that he was involved in that accident with Juan Escamilla at the start of the race. It put him on the wrong strategy, and he made the best of a bad situation and turned it into a really good situation because, things kind of shook out his way at the back end. As now we got a battle again for second place. Justin Rott finding a little bit of speed as we get to the long end of the run. Perhaps Michael Walls burnt up his stuff a little bit. You're trying to chase down Steven Maggio. Rott let everything kind of cool off. He gets back to the bottom of the racetrack. Going to try to get the move on Walls, but Walls has the momentum off the top side. Oh, sideways is Justin Rott.
Slideways off of turn 2 is the 76 as he tried to put the power down, but it just wasn't there. And now he moves up to the high side as well, trying to use it up. And you see how much better he actually ran it compared to the 7 truck, as goes the better tires on that 76, as they're both trying to close the gap on your race leader, as these laps led could be important when the night's over, but Maggio's already led a lot of them. As you see a diamond effort here from the 76.
Yeah, not usually going to see a diamond at really any oval track but for Homestead-Miami, just because Homestead-Miami Speedway, it's a traditional oval. It's not a tri-oval like your Chicagolands, your Kansases. It's not a quad oval like a Texas or Charlotte. It is simple 2 straightaways, 2 corners. I think they're generally identical, or certainly not perfectly identical. No 2 things ever are. But identical enough in that they look the same in turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, and turn 4, following the same shape of the racetrack. As now Walls goes all the way to the top to block Justin Rott. They're having their own little battle racing for second like it's first.
They're having a fun time here racing for second on the racetrack. And a little bit of a fun fact, Nate, here about the Homestead-Miami Speedway, and you could probably tell it visually, but turns 3 and 4 is so different than 1 and 2. With turn 1, you get to the banking, the corner starts immediately, and the corner exits right when the banking goes away. But turn 3 and 4, it takes forever to get to the corner for the banking to really pick up. It feels like a long entry, and it just as much feels like a long exit, with the banking slowly going away at the same time. So the way you drive the top, the way you drive the racetrack is so different. It feels like you're driving 2 completely different racetracks, as Walls is continuing to hang on for second as Maggio slowly starts to pull away. 2 completely different racetracks.
Yeah, well, I should say visually at least. They're identical, and they're symmetrical corners, similar to what you'd see on a track like a New Hampshire or Martinsville, where we're usually talking about diamonding the corners. Never really talk about it like that on a tri-oval.
There's Rott once again, trying to attack the bottom of Michael Walls, and it's just been the lane he's trying to run to get out of the dirty air of the 7 truck, which I'm trying to see if maybe Walls makes a mistake on the high side. The last thing you want to do is follow them on the outside. They tag the wall, you have nowhere to go. You end up losing just as much time. But you can tell that he is struggling for pace here is Michael Walls. He's resorted to the top. They're slowly dropping off speed to the race leader by about a tenth or so each lap, making this the ultimate fight as it stands right now. Kyle Benson has saved his stuff nicely and has moved his way up into the 4th. He's been ripping that top side really well past Trevor Haley, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, and everybody else. So this 38 truck could be one to play if we continue to go long into this run, as the 3 Dark Coast Motorsports drivers have found themselves together on the racetrack with Jurgensmeyer sandwiched between them.
Yeah, I was just about to mention what we were seeing out of Kyle Benson. He's really worked his way through this field impressively. And now Jonathan Jurgensmeyer going to work on Trevor Haley. You're still side by side up there for second. Some really good battles deep in this first run of the race.
And we'll see who is the first to come down pit road, who bites the bullet, who decides tires are going to matter, as Rott tries to clear off a turn 2, but just not enough there to get up in front of him. Walls will give him the spot though, and now they'll cross over back to turn 3.
Yeah, but this time Rott in the preferred lane. We'll see what the run he gets on the exit of the corner
and
is.
they're both pitting.
Finally clear. Oh, they're gonna pit. Wow.
And that, you could tell that was a late call for Rott. He entered high and was fortunately able to make that audible call to bring it down pit road together with Walls here on lap number 34. Wow, unbelievable decision.
Definitely reactive out of Justin Rott right there.
And the good thing is that they have their pit stalls perfectly near each other enough to get a solid view as Walls goes into his stall nicely. The lights have just turned on, so we'll get to watch the race off of pit road between our championship contenders. Steven Maggio continues to stay out in the race lead in the process. There goes Walls. He'll exit out, and a lot better of a stop here for the 7. Look at the gap he's able to build on Justin Rott.
Really good stop for Michael Walls, and the points there on the bottom right of your screen, not reflecting the actual running position, but yet they're going to drop all the way to the rear of the field, and they're going to look pretty poorly on this here in a moment.
Until it all cycles out eventually, which most of the field will come down soon. And I'll tell you, that's not a bad time to pit if you're those two, Nate, because you perfectly split the run in about 34 laps each. So it's a perfect set of 4 quarters for this race, as now Steven Maggio will go into the pit lane as the points will start to shuffle big time with the pit road cycle. There's Kyle Benson, who continues to stay out on the racetrack and now leads this race, with Jonathan Jurgensmeyer just a couple of tenths back. And there's Michael Walls, who is looking to unlap himself. It'll be a big move for the 7 truck to get back on the lead lap before caution comes out. And there's the move to the inside. That puts it back on the lead lap for the 7 truck, and shortly behind is the 76 of Justin Roth. The gap sits at just about a second, 1.1 seconds between those two. So that was a big moment for Michael Walls to X out in front of Justin Roth. A better pit road execution. Now he doesn't have to fight anybody as immediately. And there's Maggio exiting pit road, and this will be another crucial pass because it'll put Michael Walls in the race lead.
Yeah, proverbially, at least for this time being, he'll be in the race lead once everything cycles out. Of course, cautions could shake things up a little bit, but it's so crucial. I mean, we know the undercut is generally speaking the way to go when it comes to these races. The concern is always, will a caution come out and ruin that strategy, which it so often does. So the fact that Michael Walls took maybe, what was it, half a lap to unlap himself from Kyle Benson after his pit stop, crucial for saving his race. Now a lot of these leaders not going to have to worry about that with the way that tires are. You get you in an advantage at Homestead-Miami Speedway with how quickly they wear.
And now I bounce this to you, Nate. Steven Maggio does have better tires than Michael Walls, but now that Micah isn't fighting anybody, now that he can just run his pace, save those tires, can it get to the point where the 2-lap difference between the race leaders kind of equals out and he's able to hold on to the top spot legitimately?
Yeah, I think that 1-lap difference isn't, or 2-lap difference isn't a whole lot anyway. I think it's going to show itself probably more at the start of this run and taper off pretty quickly. You know, all things considered.
And as it stands right now, big points being gained by Jonathan Jurgensmeyer in his potential bout. He leads this race in the 00 machine, has yet to bring it down pit road, sits 39 laps on his stint, and there's the 00 bringing it down the lane, handing the race lead over to pole sitter Mikey Neal, who spun in turn 1 on lap number 2. Alexander Schumacher will move into second. He's in a fight with Charlie Beyer for that position. And we'll be seeing a lot of split strategies here tonight, Nate, because if there's anything that we know for certain about these season finales, is that's where we see the most strategy splits between championship contenders and non-title contenders, because they have the least amount to lose here tonight.
Absolutely. They have really nothing to worry about. They can just go all out for the win. And especially if you are Mikey Neal, you might be trying to capture that same magic that Michael Walls captured a week ago and try to win after wrecking early. And now here's the last piece of the puzzle for pit road as far as the championship is concerned, Alexander Schumacher.
He'll pit in with good friend Charlie Beyer behind him. Looks like a couple of other trucks continue to stay on the racetrack, including race leader Mikey Neal, Austin Reedy, Chris Brogar in this number 17 machine, and the 53 of Craig Parks, who was one of those on the different strategy back at Phoenix. Not surprising to see this 53 doing this alternative call. So the top 4 on the racetrack have yet to bring it down pit road, but when they do, it will cycle the lead out to Michael Walls. Steven Maggio only 8.5 tenths behind that 7 truck, and he's only closing at about a tenth a lap. And as this run goes on, that number will shrink. So we'll see where he stands as the laps continue to take on 10, 15 laps from now, if he's able to mount anything for the race lead.
Yeah, it'll start to taper off as this run gets long, and I think, 1, he does have a slight tire advantage, but 2, that first run, he was faster than Michael Walls. And with 28 laps led in this race, I mean, I think Steven Maggio is expecting to find victory lane here in this race, just as he was a week ago.
He's put on a great race, but it's like I mentioned to you, Nate, it's Michael Walls drove up from 7th, had to basically battle Justin Roth the entirety of the run. Now that he doesn't have to deal with that necessarily, maybe it's all Michael Walls needs to get into a rhythm and get into that form that he's able to find here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. as more drivers have hit pit road, cycling these two up to third and fourth on the racetrack. Yet to pit is the 8 truck of Mikey Neal, and it won't be this lap as he continues to stay out, now entering his 44th lap in the stint. It's going to be asking a lot for him to eliminate a pit stop in this race, but I don't think that's the play for those two. Possibly just trying to catch a caution at the right enough time or try something different.
Yeah, and I would say that's definitely the play at this point, because now, with the amount of tire sets that we have in this race, if there were to be another caution right now, I think everyone would come right back down pit road. I mean, even the first couple of guys to pit road, Justin Rott, Michael Walls, they've now put 10 laps on these tires. They would be at an extreme disadvantage to anyone that came down pit road under another caution if it were to come out now.
I agree 100%, Nate. The tires here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, they're not quite Atlanta before the repave levels, but slowly but surely the real life tire wear there is getting to that state. This track surface is over 20 years old, 22 to be exact. So it is really old, as now Michael Walls will cycle back out to the race lead. Has not crossed the start finish line as the race leader yet. If he's able to complete this lap out front, it will give him that crucial point as Maggio continues to close the gap. And I think Maggio might be pushing a little bit more, because that is now roughly a 1/10 and a half that the 51's able to gain on the 7. But a bigger note, he is pulling away from Justin Rott. Justin Rott in the middle of no man's land. You see the gap back to Juan Escamilla. And nobody on the racetrack appears to be as fast. They're going to have to look back to Kyle Benson, but he's over 6 or so seconds behind that 76 truck. So it's going to be a progress of seeing where they land, as there's Steven Maggio now right on his back bumper.
All over the rear bumper of Michael Walls. He's trying to get out there. Walls, at the very least, grabs a lap lead. But now Maggio pulls right to his door, gets the power down, and just hammers home off the corner. He's going to have the run on the outside. Not a whole lot Michael Walls can do to get on the defense here.
He's going to try to fight back probably as best as he can. He knows that he might have to win this race with how it runs, unless a mistake happens to the 76, but if he can continue to save tires and just keep in touch with this 51 truck, he might try to do something different here in the closing stages. But all he has to do is just stay there, stay nearby, and everything will be all right. Steven Maggio back out front in this race, approaching 50 laps into it. And we've only had that one caution on lap number 2, Nate. And this racetrack, the Homestead-Miami Speedway, is not a track that normally sees the yellow flag get waved a lot. We normally do see a lot of long green flag runs, and tonight has been no exception. So we're seeing another set of runs as they're going to lap by Kenneth Bueno here to put him another lap down. And there's the points as they run. It is 3 points separating Justin Rott and Michael Walls, with Walls leading that lap and sitting down in second. So if they continue to run as is, that's Michael Walls' championship laying out in front of him in that black 51.
Absolutely, that's 4 points that's in front of Michael Walls, because again, yeah, you get one more point for the position, but 3 bonus points for the win. You finish this race in first, you're going to score 4 more points in the driver in second place. And right now, that's what Michael Walls needs, except he would actually need Rott to stay back in third, otherwise they'd be tied. And again, if they're tied, the tiebreaker goes to Justin Rott.
And based on how they're running, obviously with Walls being in second and Rott in third, Nate, I think as long as nothing changes drastically, the picture's pretty clear. Michael Walls has to win this race as they run to win the championship by 1 point, which is the minimum margin he can win it by, since he does not own the tiebreaker.
Absolutely, yeah. There's nothing for a tie here. It'll go. They're tied on points. It'll go to wins. Assuming Michael Walls wins this race, they're tied on wins. If Michael Walls doesn't win this race, well, then it doesn't matter, because Rott's got more wins than him anyway. Then we go to top 5s, which Rott has more of those as well. So, and Walls can't take that from him either by getting another top 5. It's win or bust at this point for Michael Walls, unless something were to happen to the 76 truck.
And there's still a long way to go in this race. A lot of things can happen between now and the checkered flag. We're not even halfway in tonight's running. So there's Justin Rott about 1.6 or so seconds behind Michael Walls, and that's been the gap really since the exit of pit road between those two. So it's been a great execution getting on and off pit road by the 7, and Justin Rott running right where he is, running exactly how he's doing, it'll be just enough for him to win this championship. Juan Escamilla sits 2 seconds behind him. An additional 1.5 seconds back is the 38 of Kyle Benson, who has about 5 lap fresher tires than most of the competition around him. But we'll see if the run goes long enough for Benson to put use to the better tires and end up challenging for these positions. That last lap, he was nearly half a second quicker than both Rott and Escamilla. The question is, before they have to pit, can he get up there and battle him for position?
He saved his tires so much better than anybody else that first green flag run, or the first tire set run of this race. So there's no doubt in my mind that he can do it again, but he wants this race to stay green as long as possible because he thinks, most likely, that he's the fastest on the racetrack when it comes down to that long run.
And it could play a role, depending how far he can get up. It could spice up that battle between Walls and Rott if he gets caught in the middle of that. But as they continue to run laps, Rott now down to 1.5 seconds as the gap between 1 and 2 continues to extend. 1.6 seconds out front for your race leader, Steven Maggio. And it's looking like a carbon copy of the Phoenix race up to this point. An early caution, followed by a green flag run, where the 51 is just checked out from the competition.
He's got his sails in the wind. He's loving the look out of his windshield. He's loving the look out of his rearview mirror. And I tell you, who's not loving the look of that is Michael Walls, because he's seeing an extra point for leading the most laps slip away from him, because Steven Maggio is taking off with that award as well.
Yeah, he's probably going to capture that tonight. So I think no matter what, no matter how Michael Walls sees this, I think his mindset, his understanding is probably very clear. For him to become champion, he's going to have to win this race here tonight, and Justin Rott cannot finish directly behind him. It has to be exactly how they run, but with him winning this race as a big pass here. It's the number 38 moving up into 4th, now 2.5 seconds behind Justin Rott.
Yeah, Michael Walls is probably a pretty big fan of Kyle Benson right now, saying, yeah, take another spot from Justin Rott. He's certainly got the pace to do it. We'll see just how long he's able to hang on to that pace, of course. He is moving. He is one of the faster trucks on this racetrack. He has been all night.
Well,
he's one of those guys, he started out back because he missed qualifying.
And he also pitted later into that green flag run, so he does have a little bit of fresher tires than most of the competition immediately in his vicinity. Another one of those is Trevor Haley in that 12 truck. They pitted on the same lap, did Haley and Benson, and Haley slowly catching up to his teammate. A little bit further back, there's Nicholas Bauman, who recently got passed by Jonathan Jurgensmeyer for the 7th spot. And this is where the biggest array of cars sits. It's Charlie Beyer and Keelan Belsha racing each other for the 11th spot, with Mikey Neal, who is the most recent pitter of these by almost 10 laps. He should easily get past this group of cars and move his way shortly back into the top 10 at the hands of Tyler Murray, further up ahead, who tags the outside wall. But out front, it is starting to show the little bit of tire wear on that 7 truck, Nate, because 2.3 seconds separate first and second, and Justin Rott is closing the gap by about a 10th a lap.
Yeah, he's starting to fire that in there. And, you know, something is with Michael Walls, with as aggressive as he is, I mentioned earlier that he is racing all 100.
Oh, he got the wall there.
This race. Yeah, that's part of the aggression, but too, that does eat up the tires a little bit. You see, he's already migrated to the top of the racetrack. That tells me that his tires are starting to wear out, and he needs the speed wherever he can find it.
And I'll tell you this as well, the Homestead-Miami Speedway, it's not like other racetracks that you'd imagine, at least here on the sim, mate. Homestead is a track that lends itself to the overcut rather than the undercut. And I know that sounds crazy with the amount of tire wear that we see at this racetrack, what it's known for. But believe me, every single time we show up to the Homestead-Miami Speedway, the overcut is always the better strategy for the longer run. And I think it's proven to be the case here with Steven Maggio continuing to pull away with a bigger gap that he had before pit stops, only halfway into this run.
Yeah, and then you look on the extreme end of that, you see Kyle Benson, who we've talked about, and I think you mentioned it there with the long run. It's, you know, I guess in any case, the overcut versus undercut debate is based on, you know, how long the run after the pit stops is going to be, because every single time the undercut's going to work for at least a couple of laps. but it's a matter of when that overcut starts to take effect, and you're starting to see it really work in right now as we get toward the back end of this second run on tires.
And we'll see how long it takes for the likes of Walls and Rott to bring it down pit road as they continue to drop time to your race leader substantially. And at some point they might need a caution flag just to re-rack this up and go for it again, because for Micah, unless Rott makes a mistake, he needs a caution to have a chance at this title fight. But I think he's definitely going to try to play his best part in keeping the 76 behind him.
Yeah, that's all he can do, and of course he's not going to try to wreck the guys. You're going to be as clean on defense as he possibly can, but he has to be aggressive on defense. I mean, this is a championship that's on the line here. It's not just a spot in any old race. That's why he's been so aggressive every lap here, and he saw last week what can happen. You just need to be within shouting distance of the leader. You get a caution to fall into your lap at the right time, then it's anybody's race. You could have the right strategy all of a sudden. Michael Walls knows that. All these drivers know it. Michael Walls is just most recently familiar with it. And he's going to be ready at any point to try and capture this championship, waiting for that caution to fall.
And that's if it comes out as well, Nate, because in these playoffs we've seen a lot of green flag racing. So if it comes out, and when it comes out, if it does, is going to be two big question marks. And you see both of these drivers have migrated to the top, and I think it's Rott seeing the line Walls is running, knowing it's defensive, but I think his tires have kind of slipped away as well, because they're also running a quarter of a second off of whatever the leader's running right now. So it's just back and forth trying to find a clean lane, and they're doing the best they can to go after it and eventually battle for the spot. And don't forget, this is our race leader. He is still out here leading laps, and he is slowly but surely closing in on the most laps led in this race and taking it away from just about any other championship contender. It sits at 46 right now, as we're almost at the halfway point in this race, but you can basically just about hand it to him with the way it's going.
Hey, Fran, you care to guess how many laps he's going to need to lead to get to the halfway point of most laps led here?
It'd be about 20 more.
Yeah, it'd be about...
I know the number, but it is about 20 laps
67.
away. Yes, yes, for those loving the 6-7 reference. That is the exact number that would be halfway in this race, which we're slowly approaching here. And pit stops are going to be soon enough here anyways. Remember, Micah and Justin, as they're now nose to tail here in turns 1 and 2, with Benson just
Kyle
behind
Benson's
them as
right
well.
there on him too.
This will be a big pass for Benson as well. It'll take points away from Walls and Rott, but I think Walls and Rott, for that matter, they look at the strategy by Benson and by the rest of the field, and they have to think about possibly trying to extend as long as possible to use tires on the long portion of this run, because it just didn't work out for them, and they might end up losing a spot each or even another one to Trevor Haley eventually.
Yeah, Justin Rott, he probably is not so worried about losing a spot here, as long as it's both him and Walls that lose a spot, just like what happened right then. He's okay with Kyle Benson going by as long as he goes by both of them, because he just wants to stay ahead of that 7 truck in the points. Micah Walls, however, he needs to try to get as much space between him and Justin Rott as possible.
And it's been going the other way. That gap has been decreasing as the laps go down. Look at the run that Rott is able to build on the outside. They'll be side by side. Walls flinches down low. Rott thinks about the move, but he's going to wait for it back to turn number 1.
Yeah, no reason to go for any unnecessary risks here if you're Justin Rott. Anything too aggressive. You don't want to ruin your race here at the halfway point. Things are really looking good for him, and there he goes. Patient, gets a nice clean move in turn 1, now has the advantage on the racetrack, and widens his advantage in the points to 5 again.
And at one point in this run, Walls was sitting roughly 2 seconds on the racetrack ahead, as he'll dive it down to pit road immediately here. Once again, at the same lap number as his first pit stop, so he's doubling down on this strategy, Nate.
Yeah, he came in on lap 34 the first time, comes in lap 67 this time around, and first to pit road once again. This time, Justin Rott did not have the opportunity to match his pit stop, so all that work that he did on that run to go run down Michael Walls, he's going to have to do it in double time against Walls this next run.
And I think Maggio, at the very least, he'll be in no rush to pit, as he had a big lead, but Rott kind of forces his hand. He has to bring it down. He knows he'll get jumped, by Wolves, but nonetheless has to bring it down the lane and make a clean execution. You saw how aggressive Micah was on pitting. He basically pitted from the third lane, was able to kind of straight line break it. Rott was
Yeah,
able to
right
have a
then
little bit
is
more of a bottom entry.
the moment that he got past, he knew that he needed to go ahead and find pit road ASAP.
And there's Michael Walls working his way through 3 and 4 as Rott had just pulled into his stall. There's the left sides going down. There's the 7 truck going down the front straightaway. And a pretty easy pass it'll be from Michael Walls, as the access road will serve as a little bit of a slowdown for Justin Rott there. You see him going by. And the gap will sit much like it did earlier in this race, at almost 2 seconds between those two, but now with a 1 lap difference in tires, as Maggio's made his way on the pit road, handing the lead to Kyle Benson.
You know, Kyle Benson gets to go and collect up a couple more laps led here. Add to his pile, and of course he does still get to collect the points for doing that. Just isn't going to impact the championship whatsoever.
There's Steven Maggio working his way off the lane. And there's Kyle Benson, the race leader. Won't quite get to put a lap on Maggio, so big for Maggio that he was able to pit and not even lose a lap, such as the gap he had back to Benson, who was second at the time of caution. There's the gap back to Michael Walls, and this time Maggio doesn't have nearly as many laps of a difference as your race leader. It was closer to 5, or actually it's just as many. It was also 2 in that first run. As Schumacher will bring it down the pit lane as well. But Walls now has that gap to work with, and if I'm him, I think the biggest thing you could do is just save the tire so you have something to battle with, or just try to prolong this run. I think he's committed to trying to split this race up into even quarters, but at least with these green flag runs, it is not exactly proving to be the go-to move.
Yeah, he's definitely kind of forced himself into pitting so early in each of these first couple of runs here. As you see the points show up on the side of your screen there, as you know, we start to get through this pit cycle, and that's how much they shake up on pit cycles. So it's interesting to see here that if a caution were to come out right now, it would shake up the points significantly. You see Jonathan Jurgensmeyer would be up there in that battle.
And this is exactly the kind of thing that Jurg would need. He would need Walls and Rott to be trapped a lap down or further down the running order, but also just get up there and try to lead this race himself and take away the race win bonus points. Like we mentioned at the top of the show, it was going to take a long shot effort for it to even be the case, but it existed. It was a non-zero chance. And at least as it stands right now, he'll be in third as pit stops continue to go down here. And eventually, Steven Maggio move his way back into the top 10. And Michael Walls with a 1.1 second over Justin Rott. And when this cycles out, this should be, once again, a 3-point advantage to Rott.
That would be the likely case. And you saw it there on that point as well with Rott 3 ahead of Walls, even though they're buried down the order a little bit right now. Still just that 1 spot gap as they start to slowly but surely creep their way back up the running order as more cars peel off the pit road.
And as we're completing 75 laps in this race, Nate, we have basically indulged ourselves in the darkness of the Homestead-Miami Speedway. We're fully under the lights now. So now you know that it's getting antsy. If there's anything that Homestead was able to put on a display fantastic, was that kind of emphasis of it's the daytime, you still have a lot left to go, versus when it got like this, you know it's go time, you know the end is near.
Yeah, it's another one of the reasons why I kind of gush over this racetrack being a host for a championship, because I think that it's perfect, and that's definitely part of it. I love watching a racetrack go dark, you know, slowly over time as the race wears on. It's one of my favorite things about even races like the summer race at Daytona acts in a similar way. It's go time, it's go time. Once you see that sun start to set, my favorite setting for any kind of motor racing event.
It is definitely one of the best views in racing, a setting sun on the horizon of fast race cars. Still 6 cars have yet to make it down pit road. Mikey Neal leading the bunch with Charlie Byer and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer continue around the top 3 as Jurgensmeyer actually will bring it down the lane, moving Craig Parks and Chris Progar up to the next handful of spots. That will cycle Steven Maggio up to the 5th spot as Trevor Haley joins him down the lane. And Michael Walls will move up into 6th with Justin Rott down in 7th. So just 4 trucks remaining before this pit stop sequence is officially complete. And just like that, we continue to remain under the green flag. We've been green for the past 70 laps, Nate, and still over 55 laps remaining in this race. Anything can happen.
Yeah, anything can happen. Those cautions that I talked about, I think, are the big thing on all of these drivers' minds, because that's going to cause the quickest change in, how these trucks are running in the race, because they pretty much set themselves in an established order at this point of the event.
And this is that stalemate section of these races. If they get to this point, it's all about just not being the one to make a mistake, whether it's causing an incident that brings out a caution or not being the one to mess up on pit road, which we haven't really seen from anybody, certainly not any of these championship contenders. They've done a good job on pit lane with the strategy calls and execution on pit road, which I would say is the bigger concern. As Rott now under 1 second of Michael Walls as he gets around the lap truck of Kenneth Bueno. Maggio's gotten by Chris Progar on the racetrack, even without the pit stop by the 17 being completed. And Mikey Neal, Craig Parks are the top 2 that remain on the racetrack. The 8 truck leading laps on this alternative strategy. Craig Parks doing so as well, much like he did at Phoenix. And you see that 51 truck a little bit further behind. But I think it's crystal clear to me, Nate, that no matter what happens over the course of the next 55 laps, I think it's pretty simple that either the 7 truck needs a major monumental mistake out of Steven Maggio, which we're not seeing that to be the case, or a yellow flag to bunch up the field and give himself an opportunity.
Yeah, and again, crucially, he has to win the race with Justin Rott finishing in 3rd or worse. Which Justin Rott finishing in 3rd or worse is, I think, the toughest part about this, because any situation where I think Michael Walls takes the lead involves Rott getting into 2nd place.
And let's put it into perspective as well, Nate. These two have had a great playoff run. So the fact that they're close is not surprising. And it could be that 6th place finish at Talladega that all Michael Walls wishes he had back, that could have made the difference in this championship. And you have to think about that heroic effort by Justin Rott that put him in this position at Iowa to save the fuel to win that race. And you have to remember also, there was an admin mistake in there, which they didn't penalize him for because it was an admin mistake, not a driver mistake. But he was able to capitalize on that situation, and ultimately, it's put him in this position.
Yeah, it's definitely been a lot of things to go right for him, and of course, the admin mistake at Iowa that led to him being able to save the fuel was talked about briefly, but overall, it's been a gritty playoff run for Justin Rott. I mean, he had his hands all over the regular season championship at Auto Club Speedway. Ends up taking a look at the outside wall a little too much closer than he would have liked to. Lost out on that, though. No tangible reward for that, just the bragging rights that come with it. And then turns around into the playoffs. Came close at Chicagoland. Saved the fuel at Iowa. Talladega, I mentioned it then. He had the opportunity to just sit back and ride, try to avoid a wreck, collect the 0x point. He didn't do that. He ran up front the entire race, maintained a good finish in overtime. Meanwhile, Michael Walls was spinning out coming across the start-finish line at Talladega. That could very much be the difference when this is all said and done.
Mikey Neal will finally bring it down the pit lane after 39 laps on his stint, and he'll spin. That shouldn't bring out the caution flag. He is on pit lane, so he'll back it up and get back going in the right direction. That'll hand the lead back over to the 51 truck of Steven Maggio, as there's a gap between Michael Walls and Justin Rott now just about half a second here on lap number 85. And to kind of wrap up your point there, Nate, about the runs that they were having, you think about Auto Club, think how definitely that race goes if that contact with Jurgensmeyer and Rott doesn't happen in turn 4. Yes, there was no prize for the regular season championship, but Walls won that race and Rott didn't. That's a 4-point swing that if that doesn't happen, this wouldn't even been a discussion right now. So there's a lot of things that have happened to get us to this point, and there's still a lot left to touch, but don't go away now. We'll bring you a little bit of a break here from the action, but you won't miss it. We'll be back from the other side of this break. You're watching championship action from the Homestead-Miami Speedway live on the KBueno Racing Network.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Let's go. What's up? Yo, what's up, Kenneth? How's it going, man? How are you? Good. How you been? What you got in the bag, man?
I got a panini. I have a hoagie. I got it all through the Wall Rewards app.
You can order it all through the app?
You can order it all through the app.
I can order it all through the app. The world is my oyster! By placing your order on the Wawa app, you can pick up at any time with ultimate satisfaction. Gotta have a Wawa.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back live to the Homestead-Miami Speedway. You're watching the battle for second between your top two in the championship. Justin Rott and Michael Walls going at it for second on the racetrack. Justin Rott leading this championship fight by just a handful of points over Michael Walls. And in this long run, and in the previous long runs, it's been the 76 that's been overpowering the 7, as there's the lap truck of Chris Progar going by on the outside. And Nate, as we're sitting here approaching 40 laps to go and one more pit stop remaining, there's still a lot that can happen, but you have to feel this is slowly slipping away from Michael Walls.
Yeah, and it's just he's not got the pace that I think most of us really expected him to have in this race. I thought he was going to be battling with Steven Maggio, and he and Justin Rott have just been far behind him. It's been a great fight for second, and it's been a dogfight. But really, Michael Walls is fighting to stay in the fight when he battles Justin Rott.
Yeah, he's just trying to give himself a fighter's chance just by keeping that second place spot in case they were to enter pit road, as you see the 7 truck slide it off of turn number 2, and it'll hand Justin Rott the second spot here. We saw him dive it down pit road the last time he got passed by Justin Rott. It might be too soon to do that, and I think the general consensus here is that overcut strategy has definitely been the way to go for just about most of the fields here, we see drivers that have waited to bring it down pit road really work out well for them. They're able to have so much more speed on the long run. As Raw actually goes too hard into turn one, he'll tag the outside wall. It'll allow Michael Walls to try and get back at it.
He's got the momentum ripped off the top of the racetrack, so that should be enough to seal it for now. We'll see. Michael Walls, of course, not going to go quietly, but he's got to try to take care of those tires. If he stays on his strategy, it'll be lap 101, 102, so 7, 8 laps until he comes down next. But you might wonder if he wants to try to stay out a little bit longer to try the overcut on the last run of the race, but that is, of course, you're going to run up on the checkered flag. You're not going to have a run that's able to go as long as you really want it to.
He's just been struggling to save those tires, has Michael Walls. And I think you and I expected him to be a strong contender in this long run, but it just hasn't been the case here tonight. We thought that first run, a lot of it had to do with the battles, but he's been in clean racetrack with only 1, maybe 2 lap difference on tires, but has not been able to save adequately. And it's showing its demise here, now half a second behind his championship rival. And the points do reflect it here on our timing and scoring. 5 points is the gap between 1 and 2, with Walls running now in third and having moved up to second.
Yeah, and the gap on the racetrack is starting to get just as big. Walls needs something. He's about to potentially lose a spot to Kyle Benson, who is once again on a long run, hawked down Walls and Rott, and is probably going to pass him here in the next 2 or 3 laps.
It's been a great strategy call for Kyle Benson in this run to possibly get second in this race. If it stays green, you definitely expect that 51 barring any mistakes. He just has the gap, does Steven Maggio here in these closing laps. Unless he manages to mess up or make a kind of monumental mistake, it's hard to just take him out of contention for the win here this week. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer was able to get by this group of cars. He's moved his way up into the 5th. It's been a quietly good strategy call from Jurg as he's gotten himself up into 5th ahead of Juan Escamilla and even Alexander Schumacher. And they've done a good job tonight in getting into these spots. You see the point totals there on the right-hand side. They kept even with the top 2, but that wasn't going to cut it.
Yeah, they've been able to somewhat maintain their gap, and if there was another race after this, we might be having different conversations. But I think this is just reflective of what the playoffs have looked like. It's been Justin Rott and Michael Walls kind of completely clear of everyone else's. Now we see Michael Walls start to lose that spot to Kyle Benson, and it's just not even close. Kyle Benson blows the doors off, not even in the preferred lane.
Just another one of the issues that Michael Walls has been having. He was 4/10 slower than Justin Rott on that previous lap. It is just not going the way of the LSU themed Goat Pink Chevrolet 7 of Michael Walls here in the closing laps at Homestead under the light. And Justin Rott, on the other hand, running slightly better lap times than your leader as he tags the wandering tree. And he gets it again. Don't want to do that too many times in this position. As there's Michael Walls pitting.
And there's Michael Walls. This time on lap 100. So a little bit sooner than I expected. He's going to have to go 34 laps to the end of this race now. That's about what he's been doing. So he's essentially split the race in perfect quarters as best as he probably could.
Into his stall, nice and clean. And again, I just expect just for him to cover off the strategy Justin Rott will be in on this next lap. We know that, and there he is. This is the right move for Justin Rott here, Nate. He's taking it nice and easy. Doesn't have to speed. He knows that Michael Walls has to win this race. So as long as he doesn't make a mistake and keeps that 7 truck either in his windshield or just behind him in his rear view, it'll be enough for him to be the champion.
Yeah, this is the race within the race for Justin Rott. He doesn't really care about winning the race at this point, which is, a tough pill to swallow when you are a driver and your goal and your will is to compete at all times. But simply put, he knows that that's just not what's necessary at this point in the race.
You have to know and understand what you're fighting, as Michael Walls will pass him for position here, similarly like they did on the last run, and 1 lap difference on tires once again to the favor of Justin Rott, but he won't be nearly as far back this time, as Michael Walls nearly tags the outside wall. But he's going to have to hope for a caution this time, especially while he has the track position on Rot. He can't, if it goes green as it has been all night long, it just will not work out for the driver of the 7, as now Steven Maggio makes it down the pit lane again. This is the right strategy if you're the race leader. He has a huge gap, so he can afford to wait, but he doesn't have to wait. He just pits, and he's able to keep the track position, as Kyle Benson will continue to run long, kind of like what he's done all night long.
Now for Kyle Benson, I wonder how long he's going to decide to wait to come down pit road, because there's not going to be a long run after this
there goes.
pit stop, and it looks like there he is. Yeah, coming right down pit road here, much earlier than he's done on any previous run, but again, there's no long run. This is 31 laps. It's going to be the shortest run of the night for Kyle Benson, which I'm intrigued to see just how much pace he can squeeze out of this truck.
It'll give Jonathan Jurgensmeyer the race lead here on lap 104. But the big thing for Kyle Benson on that strategy is to gain time on the leaders outright. So he'll exit pit road closer than he had been in the previous times, though he won't probably have the same pace advantage. Job done for the 38. He'll be closer with a slight advantage. He could possibly get up into second when it's all said and done at the checkered flag for Jurgensmeyer. We'll see if he decides to pit soon, but he has no obligation to. He's hoping for some form of a miracle to go his way in this championship.
That's exactly what he's hoping for right now. Because as they run right now, he would have the points lead.
And look at that. One point.
And then now it falls to a tie, which he would lose out to Justin Rott. But nonetheless, this is the chance that he would have. So he's going to run this all the way dry, as far as the tires are concerned, at the very least, hoping to catch a caution where he can get back on the even footing with Rott and Walls.
There's Benson out on the racetrack. He is behind Justin Rott by about that much. He's continuing to close the gap on Micah, and I think Micah's got the memo. He has backed it up at the start of this run, and Rott has really closed in that gap to start this one. And both of them collectively sit about, I would say that's about 3 or so seconds behind Steven Maggio. Actually, we're a lot closer than you could have imagined for them to be. Look at the time spent in the pit box. It wasn't that much of a time difference, so it's not like they did something different strategy front, but certainly closer, but not really going to mount any kind of a challenge. Probably a nice and easy pit entry from Maggio before the timing line scored. But this right here, once again, is going to be battle ignited. But I think Micah, it took him long enough to realize in the early portion of this run, save the tire. You're falling off too much at the end of these runs. And we're going to have the top two in the championship go for a fight here on lap 108.
And right back to the battle they've been doing so much all race long, but Justin Rott gets right to the bottom of the racetrack. He wants this spot. He doesn't want to have to fight Michael Walls super hard for it. He's clear as they exit turn 2. We'll see what kind of crossover Michael Walls wants to put on him here as they roll down the back straightaway. He's going to do it. Closes up, has no choice but to pull out, try something to the bottom of the racetrack. This battle's going to rage on for a few more laps.
But you have to think advantage Justin Rott. 1 lap on tires is just enough here to really give him an advantage. He rolled into the top and is able to clear on by, as he'll retain the 5th position out on the racetrack as it currently stands, and the unofficial 2nd place spot to Steven Maggio, as they're about 3.5 seconds behind the race leader, or the unofficial race leader of Steven Maggio. Kyle Benson, you see him a little bit further back. He just got off a turn 2 there. He has to make up about 5 seconds before he can think about the battle between Walls and Rott for the podium spot. And there's Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, continues to lead this race, hoping for a caution flag to come out sometime in the next 5 laps. And Charlie Byer, Mikey Neal are the 3 remaining trucks in front of Steven Maggio that have yet to bring it down pit road. The longest of which they can go is the Mikey Neal truck. He can possibly go another 15 or so laps here, Nate, but I don't think he's going to get that caution that he's looking for. He can certainly not get to the end of the race. And he might get caught by Steven Maggio before he even gets to pit road.
Yeah, but again, this is all you can try to do if you're Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. It's you got to try to make your own luck in this situation. You can't catch a lucky caution if you're not leading the race, trying to extend out and cast your net to catch it. So I understand the thought process here. It's the only move that he has left on the board. Desperation time for the 0-0.
Desperation time, and that time is slowly running out, approaching his 35th lap on this run. And soon enough, it will be a trip down pit road for the 0-0 and the 52 before we get to the 8 of Mikey Neal, who sits just under 5 seconds ahead of Stephen Maggio, who's already made his final pit stop and is clear to go to the end of the race. And most likely Mikey Neal will also have to make a trip down pit road, but he's definitely going to wait for that yellow flag, as there's the time up for Jurgensmeyer. He pits here on lap 111, and it will hand the lead over to Charlie Byer in the season finale.
There you go. Why not go ahead and collect a couple of laps led?
Good TV time here to end the season for Byer, who started the season as race control, and around the Montreal portion of the schedule decided to make the change over to driving. Has had some good moments, other times maybe not so great, but the fairways number 52 Toyota Tundra has been consistent, and he's trying to put together a solid enough season to end season 1 before being able to try and make that push in season number 2 from the very get-go at Daytona in January. Mikey Neal slowly behind him by just a couple of handful of tenths. And then you look 2.5 seconds back, and there is former race leader Stephen Maggio looking to take the top spot away. Further back, there's the Championship 2. Justin Rott leading. And here's how it looks as it stands right now between your top drivers in the championship. 5 points separate them in the championship. You could expect the numbers officially to change once Byer and Neal do get passed by these two, but the gap will remain the same, which is 5 points, with Rott ahead of Walls on the racetrack, as Rott is fighting the truck nonetheless either way. And if you're everybody in this field, I think besides Michael Walls and even Jonathan Jurgensmeyer for that matter, you're definitely hoping for a caution flag in the late stages of this race to try and bunch the field back up, as Charlie Byer gets passed by Stephen Maggio, and 3 tenths up the road from this 51 sits Mikey Neal, and it'll be the pass for the race lead right there in turn 2.
Yeah, I think those 3 tenths were covered in the time it took you to say 3 tenths. And that's just the tire advantage. I mean, that's Mikey Neal's not come in to make his last pit stop yet. Steven Maggio has, so he's got those fresher tires, and he just goes ahead, drives right by both the 8 and the 52. And if you're Steven Maggio, you're feeling really good about this race. But you also felt really good about the race 2 weeks ago at Phoenix, and the race earlier this season at Nashville. So if anybody knows that it's not over until that white flag flies, it is Steven Maggio.
But this time he is in the control seat. He is leading the race that he didn't those other 2 times, and you could definitely expect the entire field to be back in on pit road if the caution flag were to wave, such as the tire wear here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. But I know why you bring it up. It just invites chaos, and a short run, no tire saving required. It could just bring out the intensity of some drivers knowing that it's all on the line for the final time. Maggio takes the race lead away on what has been a dominant night for the driver of the 51. Has already clinched the most laps led there, has led 71 laps on the night, looking to close the season out strongly, becoming what would be the, I would believe, the 12th different winner on the season. And in what has been an impressive season 1 for this series on the KBueno Racing Network, that's had many great moments at all these different venues. So many different drivers have had their opportunities to succeed. And in the closing stages with under 20 laps to go, Justin Rott, 5 points clear of the championship lead, sits in 3rd on the racetrack, 5.5 seconds away from the top spot.
You pinched it right now. He doesn't want to caution. Maggio doesn't want to caution. He just wants to see that white flag fly. 17 more circuits around Homestead-Miami Speedway. It's going to feel like an eternity inside the cockpit of that 76 truck.
And you have to think it's definitely going to feel like the longest 16 laps he's ever driven around any racetrack. And it doesn't help that he's going to be towards the back end of the tire run where the truck is going to be at its slickest. It's going to be handling its worst. And for good measure for Raw anyways, Kyle Benson is slowly closing in the gap to Michael Walls. That gap sits at just about a second. So Walls, despite backing up his run this time, has still not really made any significant imprints on Raw as this run has gone on. And 15 laps to go, could possibly lose another spot here to the 38.
Yeah, and that really just speaks to the pace of what we've seen all race long. As we thought it was going to be Michael Walls kind of night. I think everybody thought that it was going to be a Michael Walls kind of night. Justin Rott thought it was going to be a Michael Walls kind of night. He finished in five league races in the trucks at Miami. He's finished in the top 6 4 times. He's going to finish in the top 6 again, but he didn't have the winning pace that he's had twice in the truck series, in the BSR truck series at Miami, that is. It wasn't there tonight for Michael Walls. It's been there for Justin Rott, who, mind you, Rott had 3 league races at Miami coming into this. 16th, 15th, and 3rd, all in BSR. So this has been a big-time flipping of the script for Justin Rott, as now Michael Walls under attack from Kyle Benson. He's going to lose another spot as he sees his championship hopes really fade into the darkness.
And you'll see that move him back to 2087 as the 38 is able to get by here for the 4th spot and slowly but surely close his way up towards Justin Rott in hopes of trying to get a podium finish to close out the season, which would bring it back to 5 again. But again, it's just not going to really do much for this 7 truck. It does no favors for him here in the closing laps, approaching 12 laps to go. Mikey Neal's getting caught now by Justin Rott, but he's expected to be down pit road in the next 4 or 5 laps. Is the 8 truck as he gets it right in front of Rott, just trying to hang on with those older tires. Rott will go by and it'll momentarily make it 7, or actually it'll make it, 7 points, the gap between championship drivers. As Neal, look how sideways that 8 truck is in the corner. That is old tires here at Homestead.
Yeah, and he's trying to hang on. So again, he's at the point where he might as well run it as far as it'll take him. And remember, he had that miscue getting onto pit road, his most recent trip to pit road. Otherwise, we might be having a pretty intriguing conversation up next to Stephen Maggio.
And there you see how quickly Benson has closed in the gap to get up into this spot. And if you're Michael Walls, the only good thing is that you can't lose any more positions. It is 9 seconds back to the next driver for position in Alexander Schumacher. Such has been the pace of your top 5 here generally this evening. As Mikey Neal, there you see him dropping down the back straightaway, possibly claiming that inside to try and get it down into the pit lane.
Not certainly what it looks like in Italy.
Yeah, there he goes. Mikey Neal will bring it down the pit lane. Michael Walls will move up to 4th. And there's Kyle Benson slowly closing the gap on Justin Rott for what would be 2nd on the racetrack here with 10 laps to go. But barring any cautions that could mix things up for Justin Rott, it is looking like the ultimate dream come true. 15 miles, just under 15 miles remain.
His least favorite color is yellow, Justin Rott, right now. And so too for Stephen Maggio. Last week, or 2 weeks ago at Phoenix, was just so frustrated. He was distraught. He said, do these people have no shame of guys that wreck at the end of races? He was absolutely livid on our post-race show, and for good reason. It's been a frustrating Maggio. He doesn't run this league full-time. He's, here looking for wins, trophy hunting, if you will, and every time he's gotten close, someone's gotten scared off the buck, and he's been left with nothing to come home with. He's hoping that's not a repeat once again at Miami.
It'll be 8 laps to go when he takes across the start-finish line. There's a battle just inside the top 10 between a couple of dark horse drivers. So you see Trevor Haley, who was the driver that was called out by the 51 truck there, just in front of his teammate in Juan Escamilla. That's just behind Alexander Schumacher. A little bit further back, Jonathan Jurgens by refresher tires. As I believe that's Chris Fowler, or Shuey exactly, that's blinking in and out as it stands right now. But otherwise, these aren't really the closest battles on the racetrack as now Benson has really closed the gap up and looking to the inside for second.
Yeah, and this pass is, again, just a matter of time, similar to how it was when he got by Michael Walls. Well, Rott's doing a much better job of keeping the pace in front of this 38 truck than Walls did. That's like tire advantage. Again, it's this time around not nearly as many laps as it's been on previous runs, but it's been a culmination all race long of Benson using that overcut to his advantage. And he's been another driver frustrated plenty of times this season. Win pretty much out of the cards for him, but P2 would be a nice consolation prize coming to the end of this season.
It'll be a nice ending. I'm sure he was hoping for that win to end off the season on what it's been a struggle to close the deal. He's been struggling to get back to victory lane in 4 wide, but he's going to have a couple more opportunities down the line. Certainly won't rule him out of winning more races, as there you see with Mikey Neal out in front and just made his pit stop. But there's Rott slowing down as well, getting behind now Kyle Benson for the 3rd place position, as Mikey's trying to do his best to hang on to these last couple laps, and not really sure if he's struggling for pace. I mean, he changed tires 4 laps ago. Now he's getting passed by a couple of these trucks that are on older tires, but I believe he's trying not to play too big of a fight, or too big of a role in this fight here, approaching 4 laps to go.
Yeah, no reason for, if you're a non-playoff guy, to really get in the mix and mess with the playoff drivers, because really there's not much of anything to race for at this point of the season. You're not going to be racing for a win. Just kind of get out of the way, let him go. Mikey Neal a lap down nonetheless.
And the gap out front between 1st and 2nd sits at 7 seconds between Steven Maggio and Kyle Benson. It's been a dominant night for the Cairo, New York native of Steven Maggio after a disappointing result at Phoenix, after what probably should have been a win of his. Goes away in the last handful of laps after the late caution flag, is hoping that that stays true for 2 more to get back to the white flag. And I think Justin Rott is thinking the exact same thing after what looked like a troublesome start after the contact with Mikey Neal. He is a lap and a half away from this race being official. All he has to do is keep it steady and hope the rest of the field does the same.
It's been gritty all postseason, and it's led him to the mountaintop right here. Needs a lap and a quarter. Steven Maggio needs a lap by itself to see that white flag. Know that he's home free.
And 2 laps to go for Steven Maggio, who has not won a race yet this season. And if he could get back to the white flag, it'll be almost surely a chance to take the checkered flag for the first time on what has been a fantastic debut season for this series. So many moments, so many memories have been made, and this is probably going to be the crowning moment for everybody involved. Steven Maggio takes the white flag from the Homestead-Miami Speedway, and it's a big gap back to 2nd place. Doesn't even have to think about it, as he just cruises on out of turn number 2. Doesn't even have to push the truck anymore. Down the back straightaway for the final time, and into turn 3 and 4. A dominant night is going to get crowned for Steven Maggio. No concerns for him this time. He'll take the checkered flag for his first win of the season at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, as he'll go all the way down to the paint. And further back, there's Justin Rott. Sliding out of turn 4 is the Season 1 champion of the KBueno Racing Truck Series.
What a race to finish off this season. I mean, what more could you ask for? I think we went 130 laps of green flag racing to end this season, and that's an absolute treat for race fans everywhere. Maggio gets his win. Rott gets his championship after the regular season title was snatched to him. There you see a congratulatory bump by teammate and friend Michael Walls, championship rival.
And there you see unofficially on the right side of your screen, the gap was 6 points at the end of the night. But for Justin Roth, those 6 points are the best 6 points that he possibly could experience. A dominant season for Justin Roth, of an exemplary factor of consistency. Was the first driver to win multiple races, was the first one to win 3 races. It's going to be 3 wins and a championship podium tonight from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. He'll celebrate on the front straightaway your season 1 champion, Justin Roth.
What a job. It was gritty. That's what I talked about mid-race on what his playoff run was. Just gritty. He dug deep at Iowa. He dug deep at Dega, and he dug deep today. He didn't think that despite having the lead coming into this race, he didn't feel as though he was the favorite. Well, he was the favorite on the track tonight as the championship contenders. He put together a near perfect performance as far as that battle was concerned.
The best way I can phrase it, Nate, when the lights were at their brightest, that's when Justin Roth stepped up when it mattered most. And thanks to that performance, he gets to call himself a season 1 champion as he celebrates continuously on the front straightaway along with Steven Maggio, who captured the race win. Those two have a lot to celebrate here tonight from the Homestead-Miami Speedway to wrap up a fantastic season. And they'll actually do a burnout here together. Good friends they are. A duo burnout on the front straightaway, much deserved for that pair of drivers, Nate. As they'll continue to celebrate here on the front straightaway, we'll bring to our unofficial race results here from the Homestead-Miami Speedway, and it's going to be Steven Maggio that captured the race win here. A dominant effort to capture win number 1 on the season. Kyle Benson is able to come away with the 2nd place there at the checkered flag when it was all said and done. Justin Roth will finish in 3rd to clinch the championship for season number 1. Michael Walls just comes up short here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. One of his best racetracks will be 4th and not enough. Jonathan Jorgensmeyer will wrap up in 3rd in the standings, finished 5th there at the end. As he was able to take away the top 5 there at the start-finish line. 6th will go to Juan Escamilla. Alexander Schumacher had a long shot opportunity, but it just wasn't quite there for him there tonight. Finishes in 7th. Trevor Haley will finish in the 8th spot. Nicholas Baumann in 9th. And Keelan Busha with his 3rd consecutive 10th place finish here, Nate.
Outside the top 10, Charlie Byer saw him out front leading the lap, hoped to catch a caution, didn't quite get it. He finishes 11th. Then Christopher Bishop in 12th. Chris Progar a lap down in 13th. Mikey Neal, the pole sitter, led a bunch of laps on that alternate strategy after being involved in the early accident, comes home in 14th. Chris Fowler 2 laps down, comes home 15th. Kenneth Bueno 9 laps down after being involved in that first incident, finishes 16th. Tyler Murray 17th. Craig Parks 18th. And Austin Reedy rounds out the field in 19th.
And that's our 19 truck field for our season finale here from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. We've got a lot of interviews lined up here tonight with several drivers. The first one we'll talk to in this opportunity is the one who gets redemption for last week. And Steven, after 2 weeks ago, that disappointing loss at the Phoenix International Raceway, you come out here and you take a statement win. Talk us through what the truck felt like for you to put on this dominating performance.
It felt pretty good. Night race is a little colder, or yeah, a little colder, so it's a little tighter. But I don't know. This for some reason I'm just really good here in the trucks. I'm really bad here in the Xfinity car, or not Xfinity car. Sorry, in the next gen. I haven't raced Xfinity car here in forever, but for some reason I'm really good in the truck, and I don't know. I kind of it does obviously doesn't drive the same, but I kind of have the same mindset as Richmond, honestly, which probably sounds a little weird, but like you go into the corner and you're just trying to protect your right front, make sure you're not killing your right front. And then you have to have, there's a little bit of um, like tire spin on exit, but not really too bad, especially when it's at night like this. So, but it's a little bit of the same where you like protect the right front on entry and then protect the right rear on exit, or you have to try to get it on the right rear to not kill the right front, but obviously not too much to where you're killing it. So that's what I was trying to do, and it just worked. So.
And Steven, it's been a tumultuous season to say the least. There were so many races that looked like it could have gone your way. We mentioned Phoenix a little bit earlier, but Nashville, among other races, and even Darlington looked like you had a really good chance there with the truck that you had. Just what has it been like going through those moments, knowing that you've had trucks to win, but to finish season 1 here with this win and what it does for you moving forward?
Yeah, it was it was good to say I got a win in the season. Like you said, had. I mean, Darlington was, I was pretty fast, but I think that was partially my own fault when I had contact at the end of the race. But Nashville, I was gone, and Phoenix, I was gone to Justin. I think I was gonna catch. I'm very confident I was gonna catch Micah if it stayed green. So yeah, I was laps were counting down, and I was like, well, what's gonna be this time? What's gonna be this time? And thankfully there was nothing. So happy about that, and I'm happy I was kind of able to just drive away from the championship fight and not really, you know, be involved in it at all. I didn't really want to affect anyone, so just tried to get to the lead early, and then Micah had one charge at me. I held my ground on the second lane, and after that I could just run my own race. Pretty much I was alone for most of it. So
And of course, Steven, before we let you go, anybody you want to give a shout out to that helps makes this happen for the whole 51 team for that was able to allow you to run these races this season with us?
yeah, shout out to you guys in the booth. Thank you for broadcasting, and thank you for putting on the series. Everyone involved who does that. Shout out Justin on his championship, Micah on his second, and or on second in the championship, I believe. And yeah, I got shout out my sponsor, Three Nails. It's a sports clothing company that has it's kind of like Christian focus. So that's about it. Thank you guys. God bless.
Appreciate the time, Steven. Congratulations on the race win. We hope to see you out next season in January. Enjoy the off season.
Thank you too.
As Steven Maggio, race winner here tonight from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. A big moment for him to capture his first win in season number 1 in the final race of the season, Nate. So he's really ecstatic about that. And we'll talk to, and you'll get the opportunity to catch up with our runner-up finisher tonight here from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. You're caught up with Kyle Benson after that fantastic performance to drive up through the field.
Well, congratulations on a P2 finish here tonight. And after what's been a pretty frustrating season in multiple races where you've come into these post-race interviews a little upset with how things have gone, is there some sort of relief to coming home P2 in the finale here?
Oh yeah, I mean, I am not good here. I kind of figured something out, kind of midway through that first stint, and just kind of stuck with it. And once it became nighttime, track cooled off. It kind of became the dominant line running the bottom. But yeah, just nice way to cap off the season. I think if I just, if I kept my nose clean, probably then the playoffs would have been a different story. Could have been there at the end, but it's all good. It's all sunshine and rainbows over here.
And you mentioned finding something. Part of that, at least from our perspective, was being among the last drivers to come to pit road every single time, using that overcut to your advantage. Was that part of coming into this race? Were you always going to pit after everyone else did?
I mean, I had an idea. I mean, the undercut is so prevalent here. I mean, sometimes, if you can take advantage of the overcut with the guys blowing their tires off, the difference of time can be more substantial. But definitely thought about it, and I did it that first run, and I, was gaining half a tenth, half a second to almost a second a clip per lap, with new tires. So I just kind of just stuck with it. I had a feeling it would have helped me tonight. I didn't have anything for Maggio, and even if I did, I think he would have beat me outright. But just wanted just to run my own race, and I did, and got a P2 out of it. So really happy where we came from, and definitely liked the overcut. It was nice.
And you mentioned being in the playoffs this year, coming up just a little bit short on that front. What's in store for you next season?
We'll see. We got some fun stuff coming up. I want to try to run as much races as I can. I'm not going to try to commit to full schedule yet. I got some of other things going on, but definitely going to try to run all the races. I do like the Dora and Mexico City and IRP. Those are definitely some fun ones. And you got the regular ones like Nashville, Richmond, Charlotte, all types of stuff like that. So we'll see. Definitely going to run New Phoenix. Thank God. Definitely did not like Old Phoenix last week, but last 2 weeks. But yeah, I'm excited. I had a lot of fun this year. Was surprised with the pace I had, and haven't ran the truck in probably about a year and a half. So I don't run as much as I used to, but definitely have fun this year, and hopefully get to run some more next year.
And before we let you go, Kyle, is there anyone that you wanted to shout out and thank for this performance and for this whole season?
Oh, of course, yeah. You guys, for putting this on KBRN. Kenneth, Charlie, and Keelan for dealing with my dumbass every week. Oh man, I just said a no word. Sorry, guys. Any hoots.
We'll send the FCC check your way.
Yeah, Kenneth will,
All right,
Kenneth will
sounds
send
good.
it your way.
All right. Anywho, yeah, you guys, for putting on this year, I had a lot of fun this year. Little small season. I kind of like the small season format. Had a lot of fun, but hopefully hopefully next year we have a little more luck. I want to thank the MRMS guys for showing up as much as they could. It's definitely weird run on a Monday, but hey, it happens. But yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming out and had a good time, and hopefully see you guys next year.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Kyle, and congrats again on a P2 finish here in the finale.
All right, thank you.
As Kyle Benson, runner-up in the race results here tonight, did not capture a win this season. He definitely was looking forward to it, but spirits are high for the driver of the 38 there, Nay. He was definitely looking forward to next season. A lot of tracks that he's hoping to put together a solid run and maybe can capture that first career win in this series. And among the routes of second, you are going to be caught up here with our second place championship finish here tonight. It is going to be Michael Walls, who gave it his entire best efforts to win it all, but just comes up a couple of points short. Nate, you're caught up with him.
Micah, you come to this race in a P4. I know that you had some high expectations when we talked last week. What were you missing in the truck tonight?
Yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest. I put in the practice this week. I felt really fast in practice, and as soon as I got into qualifying, something just, I don't know. I felt a little off. I don't know.
And then, of course, you spent a lot of time battling with Justin Rott really throughout this entire race. And we could see up here the desperation. I'm assuming in the car you knew that you had to finish 2 spots ahead of him with the win at once the race finally got started.
Yeah, I knew I was most likely in a must-win, and getting the pole, and it started out badly with not getting the pole, so I knew I was fighting for mine already. So.
And then pretty much every single pit cycle in this race, you were the first truck to come down pit road. Was that always your plan, even though the overcut started to work later on in the race?
Originally, it wasn't really my plan. Just that first run, I think I killed my tires a little bit, and I knew I needed to pick it. I was losing time to Steven, and yeah, ultimately it wasn't the right decision. So.
And then before we let you go, Micah, is there anyone that you wanted to thank for this season and this run that you had?
I want to give a big shout out to Justin. He really deserves it, and all the GOAT guys, and all the people that have been on my call each and this entire season. And shout out to you, Nate, for coming on the call each and every week.
Thank you, Micah. Thank you for joining us, and congrats on a great season, though coming up a little bit short.
Thank you.
That's Michael Walls, runner-up finisher tonight from the championship, and just wasn't there for him this season. Just was tried his best. He definitely did as much as he possibly could, but unfortunately for him, it just wasn't there for Micah. The speed wasn't there. It's just sometimes it's not your day, and he's gonna have to live with that and try again this time next season. We'll talk to another one of those drivers that just came up short in the championship. Needed a lot more things to go his way, but we're joined now by Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. And Jonathan, obviously you needed a little bit more things to go your way in this championship fight, but you certainly played your best role possible. What more did you think you could do, at least from your part, to try and make things happen?
If I was just better at other points in the chase, I feel like I would have been better. Going into this race, honestly, I've not been very good at this combo. I was expecting bad things, and sort of lap 30, it kind of just like switched, and I started changing how I drove, and I felt like I was just as quick as at least Micah and Justin. So if I just figured it out a little early, I kind of gotta start behind because I didn't really, I don't know. Homestead in the truck was kind of a weird combo, and I feel like I was driving it a little more like the Xfinity car, which didn't really work. I was kind of backing the corners up when in reality in the truck, I feel like I was better to just drive it in, charge it into the corner a little more. But yeah, I didn't expect to be with Micah and Justin. I was kind of just hoping for stuff to boil over there, and I'm glad nothing serious happened, and we had a nice little championship fight.
And of course, Justin, it was a really good season from you when you look at the overall standpoint between Daytona and now. You were as consistent as anybody could be, racking up those top fives, top tens, and obviously captured that win back in Montreal. When you look back at the performance you've had this season, what do you think were some of the best moments you had, and what are things that you think you can improve on going into season 2 after the schedule release?
Obviously the Montreal win is definitely it's definitely up there, and at least overall league racing moments to beat Ethan at a road course. It was pretty cool. It was a really cool moment there. And throughout the schedule, I didn't pick up any more wins, but I feel like there was a lot more great runs, like Rockingham and Charlotte. I was very fast. But through the playoffs, I just couldn't really execute. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. I feel like a lot of guys were really fun to race with, and yeah, I feel like for a first season in the league, this was as good as you're gonna get, really.
And of course, before we let you go, Jonathan, anybody you want to give a shout out to that helps makes this happen for the entirety of everybody associated with your 00 team that was able to put the truck together for the season?
Shout out to the fellas. Mike coming so close to a championship. I know how much he wanted it, and he still has not won a championship here on iRacing, and he's been close so many times. Shout out to Justin, obviously getting it done. It's cool to see. Cool to see him get it done. I mean, he got iRacing February of 2024 because he saw me doing it and he thought it was a lot of fun, and it's cool to see him get better than me. At least in the truck. It's always better than me. That's all I'll give him. I'll only give him the truck. But yeah, it's cool to see. It's cool to see him get it done in sort of a high level league here in KBRN trucks.
We appreciate the kind words there, Jonathan. The banter shall continue amongst the teammates. Thank you for joining us all season long, and congratulations on a fantastic fight in this championship. We hope to for you to join us next season.
Yep, I appreciate it, guys.
That's Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, third place finisher tonight from the championship battle. Finishes fifth in the race to round out our championship drivers. And Nate, that leaves us with just one more driver to talk to. And now in the booth, we get to welcome our Season 1 champion, Justin Rott. You are the Season 1 champion. Talk us through what it was like racing against Michael Walls there for a good portion of the race, and talk us through as well what it was like trying to think about the championship battle as far as the points was all race long.
Yeah, I just tried to race him really hard because I knew if I raced him hard for second, Steven could go up there and take all three of those bonus points for winning the race away, 3 or 4, I guess. So yeah, I just needed to keep Micah not in the lead, and I did a pretty perfect job of that. It all went according to plan. There on that first run, and then the other runs, he really just struggled the whole way from start to finish, and that definitely shocked me because this has always been one of his best tracks and his best car and everything. So I don't know. It's a track that I never thought I'd do good at, and come away with a third place finish is awesome. Obviously, in the grand scheme of things, the championship, just awesome, great run, awesome consistency through the whole playoffs. Really put me out there and gave me that opportunity, and it worked pretty much perfectly for me today.
And it worked out really well for you, Justin. And early on, there was the contact with yourself and Mikey Neal. And I got to ask, did you get any damage of any sorts from that incident? It didn't look like too much visually, but did you get anything from that contact?
No, I didn't get anything there. And I still haven't looked at it. My truck's still sitting on the racetrack. I feel real bad for that. You know, I got into him at Auto Club or caused something that knocked him out of the playoffs. And then obviously here today racing for the lead. So I didn't really look at it. It felt like we just kind of came together. I feel real bad, and you know, he raced me real hard at the end while we were battling, and I don't blame him for that. I'd be real frustrated too. So again, I apologize to him a couple of times. I feel real bad, but no damage to me. I don't know what his truck was like, but sucks for him, definitely.
And Justin, as the race was going on, as the laps clicked off and you were getting closer to the end of the race, at what point did you feel like you were in a comfortable position, barring any yellow flags from any kind of challenges to Michael Walls?
I was gonna say, you know, without a yellow, really, probably that second run when I got by him. That first run we pit together, and that was me. My goal today was, as long as he wasn't leading, I was just gonna follow what he did strategy wise, and especially after I got the incident play on the opening lap or restart. I just needed to follow what he did, and pit with him, especially that's more of a factor when it comes to cautions. It keeps us on the same strategy, keeps him within striking distance. Make sure he doesn't get too far out ahead if one strategy works and one doesn't. So I just needed to stay with him, and obviously, I guess I did a better job just throughout the race than him with tire management and pace. I'm not sure what he was really struggling with, but yeah, just needed to keep up with him. I think about in that second run, I think we split it into 3 stops. So yeah, that second to last run there, when I passed him, I was pretty confident, even with the charges from Kyle and everything, that I was gonna be able to get the job done without a yellow.
And of course, Justin, now I'm joined here alongside our league admins to help put together this entire league effort with Kenneth Bueno, Keelan Belsha, Charlie Byer, and myself. And I'll start with Kenneth, with him being the name of the series and this channel after all. Kenneth, I'll give you the stage to put together a couple of words here before we present this championship over to Justin.
Thank you, Francisco. Justin, on behalf of all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, we want to thank you so much for putting all your effort and time into this series alongside everyone else. We really appreciate the fact that you joined this series alongside all the other drivers, and you just put on a stellar campaign. I mean, running well all season, winning multiple races, putting yourself in the right moments when it mattered most, and that is a true example of a champion. So for that, congratulations on the championship. We're so excited to crown you the first ever champion of the KBRN Truck Series for Season 1. And Keelan, I'll give it to you for a few words.
Yeah, well, it really was a fun season racing you. I know I wasn't up there battling with you too much, but I know that Kenneth and Charlie and everybody else, they've put in so much work to make this thing be fun for all of you, and it's been really fun watching you. I was looking through a few stats earlier, and you had like your average running position all season was like 4.9, so you just had a clinic, your way around these trucks, and it's been fun watching you putting on these performances. So yeah, just congratulations and thank you for having fun with us all year and getting those wins. And Charlie, you got anything for him?
I'm not going to say anything new. I just want to say congrats, Justin. It's an honor having you on the racetrack, and drivers like you were able to kind of elevate the level of this racing series, and we're very pleased with that. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you to all of you for those kind words. I appreciate each and every one of you that puts this on every week for us.
And Justin, now that we sit here atop of the standings, atop of this championship stage, we have the trophy here. It's a virtual one, so you're gonna have to accept it unless we can get some kind of real hardware here.
Don't drop it.
Yeah, you might want to hold it a little bit heavy, but just hold it as best as you can here and allow Kenneth to present you as the Season 1 champion.
Well, Justin, it is my pleasure to announce you the Season 1 KBRN Truck Series champion. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anybody you want to give a shout out to, Justin, that was able to help make this happen for the entirety of your 76 team all season long?
Yeah, I got plenty of shout outs. Shout out Steven on just an awesome win today. He has had so many slips through the cracks, and if he raced all the races, made the playoffs, I think he probably would have won the title. So I mean, just love having him out there as a teammate. He helped me out a lot today just by being there. So appreciate him a lot. Go down Micah, obviously. I love sharing battles with him all the time, and the fact that the title came down to us two was really special. I love racing him, especially in these trucks, and we have a good time doing it all day long, all season long. Jurg, of course. He got me into iRacing, so shout out him. We shared a lot of battles all season long as well, 3 of us really, and yeah, appreciate that, and glad he had a shot at the title tonight. Shout out to all you up here. Obviously, who I'm missing. Shout out Ethan. He was in our calls for a couple of the races, and really had a lot of fun racing him as well. We had some contact here and there, but love Ethan. Everyone back in the calls of the VC. Shout out Duncan. He led the points for a little bit. He loved to boast to us about that, and he made the playoffs, so he had a great season. And anyone else I'm forgetting? I'm not sure, but appreciate Charlie, Keelan, Kenneth, Fran, Nate, all of you for putting this on each and every week, and the broadcast and everything. I really, really appreciate how well this league has been run all season long. It's gone so smoothly, and there's a lot of leagues that we don't get that. So I appreciate each and every single one of you, and thank you for all the kind words tonight.
We appreciate the flowers, Justin. And I gotta say, before I let you go officially for tonight, you have 1.5 months now to defend before you start defending your championship. What was your first impression of that season 2 schedule, which will be your championship defense?
Oh, I love that schedule. There's a lot of fun tracks on there. I'm gonna take a quick peek at it now. Yeah, I love going to dirt tracks. I love Eldora. I think I'm really good there. That's one I've certainly got circled. I think I can win there. Mexico City. I've been looking for a league to go there for a minute since it came out. I'm really excited for that. Just here, a lot of fun tracks. IRP, Darlington, Michigan, some staples. So love that schedule that all you guys put together. I'm gonna have a lot of fun next season going for wins.
We appreciate the time you've taken with us all season long, Justin. Congratulations on being the season 1 champion. Enjoy the off season. Enjoy it before we see your championship defense start at Daytona on January 19th.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys, all of you.
That's Justin Rott, driver of the number 76, your season 1 champion. And gentlemen, it is now just us in the booth, the 5 that have been a key part in making this series what it is, what has gotten us to this point. And I think Keelan could probably be the biggest influence for this series, even being a thing in the first place. He had definitely petitioned this for years, getting Kenneth and Charlie or even myself to say, hey, let's do a truck series, guys. Let's do a truck series on this network. And it just happened. One day we just decided, hey, let's make up a schedule. Let's put together some tracks. Let's put together some dates. And before you knew it, we had a fully functioning league going around, and we got to Daytona. We had that full field, and now we've crowned our first champion. So I think because you were so instrument in being able to make that happen for us, Keelan, I'll toss to you first on to recap what has been season 1 for us here in the KBueno Racing Truck Series.
Well, it's been a lot of fun to watch. I've been trying to rewatch the broadcast to the best of my ability. You and Nate have done a fantastic job. It's been great to see Nate up here and Nate being an addition to the KBueno Racing Network. So thank you, Nate, for all you do. It's been fun watching you and all your Instagram adventures. You send us every reel, so I got to watch I watch most of them. Don't worry, but some of them you're crapping on my Steelers, so I got to get you to chill out on all that. Actually, we deserve it.
Oh, I wasn't in the stands over the weekend, but I appreciate the kind words, Keelan. Thank you.
Yeah, but it's been fun. It's been a fun season we put together. I'm looking forward to what it can be in season 2. Hopefully, it's a little bit better for me on the racetrack. I mean, it just the whole regular season was just atrocious for me, and then we finally got to the chase and I started finishing some races. But I think those races in the chase really showed what we have as a driver base here and the good races that we can put on when we get those green flag runs starting to get going. It was really fun to race and drive. I know me and Charlie, we were separated by 1 point at the end of the standings, and he was running me down in like those last 10 laps of this race. And if he would have got me, he would have taken my spot in the standings. So that's just one example of the fun mid-pack battles we've had. I've been all over battles with Christopher Bishop and Chris Progar and so many other guys throughout this season. So the guys you don't typically hear too often on the broadcast side, I've had really a lot of fun racing with them, and I'm looking forward to it next season. It's been a lot of fun doing this thing with y'all.
That's some great words there, Keelan. Thank you for being an instrumental part in this series, being able to come to fruition. And Charlie, you as well were a huge role in what tracks to select and how to run this league. You started the series out as a race control, but by the halfway point in the regular season, you ended up becoming a driver. That was a huge change for you, and you had some really good moments. But what has been some of the biggest parts for you in season number 1 for trying to handle both things at once?
Yeah, I think it's all about just having fun. I think this, obviously, as mentioned before, it's been an idea that's been tossed around for a long time, even going back to the early 2020s when KBRN, gained some traction about putting a product out of our own, and it finally took until 2025 to do it. But I'm so glad that we did, and I think really the goal for me was being able to provide something fun for everybody on Monday nights, whether or not you were able to race with us in limited capacity, or if you're able to race the full season. Just being able to go out there and celebrating our drivers, and basically the all stars of the KBueno Racing Network, and kind of rounding everyone up to have a little bit of fun on our own, and just kind of provide that little outlet for everyone on Monday nights. So I think I'm more than happy and pleased with the product, and I think season one was a success in my eyes.
Thank you so much for that, Charlie. And like I said, I think without any of us four crucially playing those key steps, this league wouldn't have even come to fruition. And I'll turn last to you, Kenneth. You put the name on this channel, you put the name on this series. You're a big reason on why we are where we are currently, not just for ourselves, but you in your own career in broadcasting. But this series is not one where you have been in the broadcast booth. This has been you on the racetrack for the first time in many years consistently in a league. What has it been like for you to complete now the season as a driver, what you look forward to doing in season two, but as the main owner, the one who carries the weight of it all, what has been the biggest thing that you've looked forward to in season one?
Well, honestly, Francisco, a lot of the things we do on the KBueno Racing Network is not only for broadcasting gain or for anything like that. It's always about the people that are involved. And when I started the KBueno Racing Network, obviously the idea was I wanted to get a foot into the broadcasting world and try something of my own and get used to covering races so that it could help me further down the years. But really bringing you all a part of it, Francisco, you, Charlie, you, Keelan, even you, Nate, over the last few months, it's been wonderful. And it just shows that this network is more than just broadcasting. We're a family. We're a great group of friends that have known each other for years. It's a result of the bond that we've had for so much time. And I think that this series, in all of its ideal, was really to give back to the drivers. We wanted them to feel appreciated by us because without them, without all those guys in several leagues that we've run for many years across the KBRN history, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have the broadcasts that we have. We wouldn't have the memories that we currently do have, and we can talk about in Discord at late night. So it's all about really appreciating the people that have helped make this network what it is. And much like everything that happens in our group, it's kind of a soft launch idea that happens over a long period of time. So it just kind of ultimately becomes reality, and that's happened with so many other things. And I'm really just happy that it happened with this series. And I just want to extend my gratitude to Justin, to all the drivers out there that spent all of their weeks preparing for tonight's race and for every single race this year. It's been fun to watch them out there and see that camaraderie between drivers that have come from four wide or SAC or other series across the iRacing sphere. So I'm just super grateful that everyone was a part of it, and I'm grateful for you guys for starting it, for helping me along the way, because it's definitely not just my effort. It's all of you guys putting in so many hours and so much time into graphics and designs and putting sessions together and stuff like that. All the little details that help this series go together. So a huge thank you to everyone and to you guys as well. And yeah, as part of the driving part, I guess I'm still not used to it, guys. I'm gonna be honest. I'm still not used to it. I still love broadcasting. I've had a hunger for it for my entire life, and I still feel it. It's a little bit odd not sharing the booth with you guys every Monday, but I think it's a fun experiment getting out on the track and racing with these guys. I mean, they're nothing but clean, nothing but great talent behind the wheel, and nothing but great people as well. So I've had a ton of fun, and I can't wait for what season two has to store for us.
I think we're in the same boat in that we can't wait to see what season two has in store for not just you guys, but everybody involved with this series, the growth that we could expect to see come January after the celebrations of the New Year's. I'm super thankful for all of you for being able to make this happen. But before I say my final words, I'll give you, Nate, an opportunity to present yourself here. You joined us in the booth in the middle of the regular season, and your first real experience broadcasting with us here at the KBueno Racing Network alongside Kenneth in the SAC Cup Series. What do you think has been the biggest staple for you personally in this series in its debut season?
Yeah, first of all, it's been a pleasure, and I'm super grateful for the opportunity to get in here and call some races. I've never done any kind of race commentary, so I really appreciate you guys taking some let me, start running my mouth in the booth. And I think I've done at least an okay job in between this and SAC. But no, I think the learning experience has really been my biggest takeaway. It's been some really entertaining stuff, especially that we've seen in this series, Fran. I said at the top of the show, I think that Auto Club race, the regular season finale, might be my favorite race that I've called this year. It truly was incredible. It was a great finish, and acted as a microcosm of the season because we saw those same three drivers duke it out here in Miami tonight, and kind of put a bow on everything.
It was a nicely wrapped bow to finish off what has been an excellent gift to the 2025 year. And gentlemen, tonight is a culmination of everything we've worked for over the last couple of years together on what we do on iRacing, what we do on the KBueno Racing Network to bring these broadcasts to everybody that was interested in watching these trucks and these drivers go at it on these Monday nights to do something different that we've been accustomed to seeing over on iRacing over the last couple of years. The fact that we went out of our way to take the time to do this out of our personal times and really put together something special here. I am ever thankful and super excited to see what we have in season 2 when it does come around in January. I just want to thank all the drivers and everybody that helps put this together. You guys, obviously, with the sessions, with the graphics that Kenneth tirelessly makes and sends me the day before the races for me to be able to use them. I've learned a lot of the producing aspect, and I couldn't be ever more thankful for Kenneth for showing me exactly how to do these things, no matter how many times I ask him the same thing. It's really given me something to work with, and I can't wait to continue to build on those things that I've learned this season and what I can do for the occasional 4-wide show like I will on Wednesday, but I can't wait for season number 2 of this series, and I really think that it just will be one of those examples of us taking that further step, that next step to continue to build and make every one of us better in everything that we do. And I can't wait for the 2026 calendar year. It's going to be really exciting. So many things are going to be happening in the sim, outside the sim, but I don't think it, like I said, I can't say it enough. It wouldn't be possible without all of you making this a huge part of our Monday nights and every other night that we do these shows. So from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you to all of you guys for making this a big part of our weekdays, and I can't wait till when we get to the other side of this off season, this relatively short off season. So before we get our official exit here, I just want to say thank you, Charlie, Keelan, Kenneth, for joining us here in the booth for these post-race show, for their pre-race activities, and for making season 1 happen. And that'll do it here from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Congratulations to Justin Rott, your Season 1 champion. This has been a fantastic season to cover alongside Nate Polite. We are excited to get back to Season 2, but we must take that ever so break. But this won't be the only thing on the KBueno Racing Network in the month of December. Be sure to join us over on Wednesday night for the 4-Wide Racing TJ's Team Series from Chicagoland Speedway. I'll be on the call there alongside Keelan Belsha and Charlie Beyer to watch some racing before the All-Star break, which you could expect that show over on December 17th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Same thing as this Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, before we take our end-of-year break. So 2 more shows remain in the 2025 year before we go back to the Texas Motor Speedway come January. But that'll be on the other side of the new year. We hope to see you out there on Wednesday night. One more time, congratulations to Justin Rott on becoming the first champion in the KBueno Racing Truck Series here from season number 1. Thank you to all the participants that made this happen. Thank you for joining us here, for you, the viewers. Thank you to all the admins that helped make this happen here in this series, from Kenneth Bueno, Keelan Belsha, Charlie Beyer, Nate Polite alongside me in the booth. I am Francisco Bacallao saying so long and have a good night, and signing out for the last time in season number 1.